Right. We'll try again. So welcome guys, this is the second session review for Sam, also known as VRYTAAR. This one I'm going to upload on YouTube. The first one is on my VODs on Twitch, if you guys haven't seen it. This one's going to go on YouTube, so if you're watching on YouTube, I'll leave links for the stream and also the Discord below, because people send hand histories and sessions to Discord, and then I review them, probably once or twice a week. So if you're watching on YouTube or Twitch and you've not seen me before, I go by Weasel and I play 200 NL primarily, cash games, as well as some MTTs. I've been playing poker about 10 years, and I was trying to help out somebody in the Discord, and we had a Discord call and we're saying things, you know, like I was trying to improve his game and stuff. I had the screen grab and I said, I know, why don't you send me a session and I'll review it on stream. And then we did it and everyone seemed to love it. It's the most viewed video I have on Twitch, from like highlights and stuff, apart from the Bankroll Challenge highlights actually, but that's been on for like over a year. And everyone seemed to love it, so I was like, okay, we'll do this again. Mainly wanted to do VRYTAARs again because I want to see some improvements. There was a lot of fundamental mistakes in there, which we talked about, so hopefully we're going to see some improvements. I won't be going too much into strategy, like, you know, high level strategy. Again, I'm not like the sickest crusher ever by any means, but I obviously know enough about especially lower stakes and basic fundamentals to be able to teach, you know, relatively well. So I won't be going into, you know, c-betting strategies and stuff on different board textures as much. We're just trying to iron out the fundamental mistakes that VRYTAAR was making, basically. So hopefully we want to see some improvements today. The improvements we want to see, so he's gonna be 2-table instead of 4-tabling. The other video was 4-tabling. We want to see not 100% VPIP on the button and the small blind. He was just opening any two. Don't want to see you call down a bit more and not be as tight. And labels, want to see you label and note players at any given opportunity, and ideally keep focus on the tables rather than go and check Spotify every 2 minutes. So yeah, we should be good to go. So I'm not gonna focus as much on the chat as I did last time. So if you've got questions in the chat, guys, just tag me in it. Just tag my user, Weasel1991, and I'll probably take like a little break. You know, I'll probably take like a 10-minute break to answer questions and stuff, maybe every half an hour, just to not interrupt it. And then if I think the questions are useful and like relatively insightful, then I'll leave them in when I upload to YouTube. If not, I will just take them out, basically. So yeah, so as usual, I've not seen this video yet. I've seen this hand just because I wanted to test the video was working, and I literally skipped ahead to some random point and saw a part of another hand, which was funny because he was all in with like 7 high, but I'm sure we'll get to it. So we will jump right into it, and yeah, so if you're new to the stream, guys, make sure you click the follow button. The alerts aren't on because it's gonna, like I said, gonna probably go up to YouTube. But make sure you're following the stream, guys, and if you're watching on YouTube, click the subscribe thing and the little bell icon and stuff. I'm actually relatively new to YouTube, but also, guys, in my stream, check out the YouTube, because I want to be uploading probably once a week at least these kind of videos. And if you jump in the Discord, you can always send me a message. I have about 4 to review of these, so there's already people that are in line for me to review. But yeah, will I do reviews at 100 Zoom? I will eventually, yeah. But again, because they're the kind of stakes that I play, there's going to be people better suited for reviewing them, because I am not exactly a crusher at those kind of stakes. So, you know, I might not be that useful in terms of information, because if you're playing those stakes, you should already be, you know, you should already have the core fundamentals down, which is basically what I'm teaching. I could go into what I think is good, like c-bet strategy and post-flop strategy and stuff. Might not be perfect though. So yeah. But if you want to send it me, jump in the Discord, send a message on Discord. Ideally 2-tabling Zoom, and I'll get around to it probably in the coming weeks. So without further ado, let's fucking get into it. I've been excited for this. VRYTAAR's been excited for this. So yeah, hopefully there'll be some fun hands in here. Sam says there is. So let's get into it. So first hand, straight off the bat, Ace Jack, we are 3-betting. I'm okay with this. I'm definitely okay with this. Also, sizings I wanted to see improvement on, and this sizing is relatively okay. I'm hoping that this is just... I don't know. I hope that there's not going to be issues. So I'm okay with 3-betting here. Ace-Jack's probably the absolute bottom of the range. Probably bottom of the range. I assume you've been studying the pre-flop ranges, Sam, I hope. So hopefully we'll see some improvement in pre-flop as well. But yeah, I think the 3-bet's definitely okay. The sizing's fine as well. I'll probably go a little bit smaller in position. Probably versus a 3XO in antes, I guess 9.5 is fine. Maybe 9. Don't forget these have antes now, so you do need to make things slightly bigger, and you also technically want to widen your range a little bit. So the ranges that I've been talking about, I've been primarily focused on just normal games without an ante. So you can maybe go slightly wider, but I'm generally teaching the strategies I know so you can move up. So the strategies that I will be talking about will hold true in, you know, 25 NL, 50 NL, 100 NL, 200 NL, etc. And none of those games have antes unless you look for a specific regular table with antes. So, but yeah, I'm okay with a 3-bet. What on earth is going on here? I think it's my thing not fucking up, not yours. All right, so we see a pretty rubbish flop. This is generally better for the out of position player. He's gonna have more middling cards and pocket pairs. I'm okay with checking this one back. I'm okay with C-bet. And I'm liking that you're going... yeah, I'm liking that you're going smaller with the C-bet size. I am fine checking this back a reasonable amount. Maybe, you know, 10 zoom, we can bet more because they're probably going to play a bit more fit or fold. But they can still have very strong hands. 6s, 8s, 10s, 9s and 7s. Hands like 10-jack suited, Queen 10 suited, Ace 10 suited. Still hands like pocket jacks maybe. I know we blocked that. I don't hate just checking back and seeing a turn because our hand can't really improve. But I guess C-betting's alright, especially at these stakes. People might just, you know, overfold. And I like the sizing. I like this sizing. So when we talked with Sam, he was originally going like 60%. So as long as we're seeing, I don't want to see just, you know, blindly just mashing this 62 or 66% button and C-betting everything for like 2/3 pot. I want to see, you know, around this kind of size. I'm okay with the sizing. Like I say, I think I prefer a check on this board, to be quite honest with you. But okay, turn comes a deuce. 8-9 suited from the cutoff is definitely an open as well. He checks. I'm okay just checking this one back. I think we have better bluffs in terms of equity as well as like we can bluff lower down in the range. So if we have a hand like Queen Jack suited here that we're 3-bet, which we would be 3-betting, we can bet this turn as well. Because we have a gut shot and we have queen high, so we then get hands like, let's say, ace queen of hearts that might have called 1 to see a turn. We can get hands like that to fold, whereas ace jack, we're not getting that much to fold. Maybe 7s or something like 7-8 suited mucks it, but they might even just call. So I think I'm probably just giving up a lot. But I wouldn't hate a double barrel every now and then with a hand like this. I think I just check back like ace king because we have a bit more showdown. But I'm okay with either. Yeah, I'd like to say I think I prefer the check back, but betting's okay. I don't mind the size as well. Half pot's fine because, like I say, you want to set yourself up for a river shove. And if he calls here, then there's going to be like 72 big blinds in the pot, and we have less than pot. So half pot is fine. You can maybe even go a little bit smaller in position. But he folds, so that is good news. But I'm liking to see more aggression here as well, and I don't want to see what I called last time misplaced aggression. I'd say that's you know, maybe a bit loose, but maybe at 10 zoom it works. I've not played 10 zoom in a while. They're probably gonna, you know, call flop a lot and then fold turn, just thinking you've got overpairs and stuff. So maybe you can be really aggressive. So I'm okay with it. Triple, yeah. I think if he calls the turn, I probably give up on pretty much every river. Maybe a king I might bet, but the thing is, he could have 6s, 8s, 10s. Like, let's say the river comes a brick. What's he gonna fold? Like, is he just gonna fold a 10 or anything like that? But yeah, the first hand I'm okay with it. I don't mind the sizings. I feel as though there's already improvement from the last one that we saw. So yeah, the 8-9 suited we open, we get pretty much min clicked. Like, this is a very, very small 3-bet, so I think that we should just always call it, even out of position. Our hand plays well. That is a gin first card. Okay. Hand plays well. Check. Right, okay. So he could have a lot of things here. He could have like overpairs and whatnot. Like well, underpairs to the ace, like jacks through to kings, which might want to check on an ace-high board. He could also have a hand like ace-king that he's trying to trap with. I like the check on the turn. We sort of have a bit of showdown. Betting doesn't really achieve a lot. And then once he checks twice, I think we can value bet this river. I feel as though he's going to bet nines through to kings a lot. I don't hate checking because there's not that many hands that can call it or worse unless he has something like 6-7 suited or pocket sixes. I don't hate betting here for value. Maybe he calls with a hand like king-queen as well. So I think we can just get a small bet, maybe just under half pot. But checking is fine. And if he bets, we just got to call. Okie dokie. I'm liking this. So this is what you need to do. This is definitely what you need to do. That you should be checking what they have. Any opportunity you get, because they muck, but you can go and check their cards. That's pretty much on any site. On GG, obviously, it just turns all the cards face up. But on Party, on Stars, on most other sites, you can see their hand even after they've mucked. You need this information. You want this information. And then I would like note this. I would like note, right click, note, pretty much min clicked, king, queen, button versus cutoff. Like, or very small 3-bet, button versus cutoff, king, queen off. So this is a hand that you might be able to get called by on the river. Because like draws missed, you're not gonna have many 8 or 7x hands. He has the nut nothing, so I think you definitely missed out on value on this river, because if I'm in his spot with king queen there and I face a river bet, I mean I'm probably c-betting the flop or if I'm checking back the flop I'm probably betting the turn. But yeah, I definitely think you missed out on a little bit of value. But it's good to know that you actually go back and see that he had king queen. But now I want to see, you know, notes or labels and stuff like that a bit more. So I don't think I missed any other hands. I don't think there was much. I think there was 9-6 suited under the gun as a fold, jack-7 suited we got a walk, and let's see what we're going for here. So these two are going to be folds very easily. I'm kind of used to having 4 tables now. That's the only thing. Oh, what's going on here? All right, okay. Queen 6 suited on the button, probably okay. Yeah, towards bottom of the range. So we said that we wanted to improve on the sizings pre-flop, that we were going to balance everything. So I assume we're going to see a 3x from every position, which is fine. This is what I used to do with the lower stakes. As you move up, I'd say 2.5x in, especially in the earlier positions where you're going to be out of position, because we keep the pot relatively small when we're out of position, and it also means we can defend some more 3-bets because it's going to be smaller. At the lower stakes, especially with an ante, I think 3x might even be optimal. Either way, I'm definitely okay with 3x in or 2.5x in from every position. Even if you're 2.5x from every position, I would recommend going 3 times the big blind when you're in the small blind versus a big blind. Just because you want that added fold equity. If you make it 2.5x, you're giving them too good a price. I could even advocate going 4x in an ante-game blind on blind. I used to go 4x when I was playing smaller stakes because I felt as though it would discourage 3-betting. Even though they should be 3-betting more because they're getting a worse price and calling less, it discouraged 3-betting, I thought, in the lower stakes from what I found from like my own exploit. So I was just 4x in blind on blind. As I got to higher stakes, I realized I was getting 3-bet, if anything more, or the same amount. So I stopped 4x in because I was just basically wasting money. But I could go for 3 or 4x in. Versus a 3-bet, obviously, it's just a very clear fold with a queen 6 suited. I'm checking the 5-3. You better be clicking this fold button with queen 6 suited, VRYTAAR. Yep. Definitely checking flop. Probably just checking turn with the 5-3. I wouldn't hate a small bet. Yeah, this is fine. All it really does is protect. Maybe he calls with a flush draw or something like that. But you can still have some strong hands. And now we have absolutely nothing. We have 5 high. You can maybe bet that river just because he's not, like, I guess he can maybe call with like queen high and stuff, but that's a pretty horrible river. We're not really repping all that much, but like a hand like 7s or 6s or 5s or maybe like 8-9 of diamonds is just going to fold. So I actually wouldn't hate betting this. Part of the reason why, even though we're not repping a lot, this is one of the worst hands we can ever have, right? So we had a pair of 3s, it's now 5 high. Like, we can't have many worse hands than 5 high. So we're pretty much bang at the bottom of our range. So I wouldn't hate bluffing this, even though it doesn't make that much sense. At least the pot's small as well, so even if you do get called, it's not like you're losing a lot. So, yeah. 8 deuce off, easy folds. 7-3, it's going to be a fold. Like the fold button. What? Yes! Thank you. So we've worked on the ranges. You would open 100%. Those kind of hands are just trash, right? Like, at least 8-5 suited I can get behind a raise because it's got some playability, right? It's connected almost, gapping at least. It's suited so we can hit flushes and flush draws. So you just have a lot more playability with a hand like 8-5 suited than you do 7-3 offsuit. Jack deuce in the muck. And did you notice VRYTAAR how, yeah, don't click that check fold button. Don't click that check fold button just in case you get C flops and stuff. I know we're folding, but just don't click it. The Jack 7 should be a fold anyway. It's a bit too loose to open on the button. I mean, maybe. I mean, obviously you're not using a hood, so if you're using a hood, maybe we can open a bit wider. I'd say Jack 7's a bit too loose. I'd probably open Jack 9 plus. But I wouldn't hate it. But again, we're going 2.5x now. Which I'm okay with, but I don't like the idea of, at least you're not just going 2.5x with your weak hands like you were earlier, and then, you know, because we've got jacks here. But I'd like to see the same sort of sizings. All right, we get called in 2 spots. Both very interesting boards. I think we can see bet both. I think we can see bet both there. Go on, go for that third sizing. I love it. I love the third sizing. And the Jack 7, I think we can bet here as well. And I'd like to see a third sizing. The reason why I'd like to see a small sizing on the ace a7 is we can bet our entire range, right? So if we have an ace on the flop, we can just bet really small, get value from worse hands. But it also works well when we have like a hand like a 7. I think I like betting because, especially a third sizing, because they can't just defend hands like king, queen off with no heart, right? So they can't just defend hands that have good equity against you, and your hand needs protection. So I'm okay with betting the Jack 7. Like I said, I wouldn't be on the flop at this point because I would have folded pre. And the Jacks I like as well. Betting the small size means that we can get called by a 7. We can get called by, you know, worse hands. So it doesn't just mean we're getting called by a king, and we can have some kings in our range as well. So we take it down with the Jacks. See, the problem with the Jack 7 is now we see a 9 turn and we can't really bet. Like, this we can maybe call. We're getting 5-1. It sucks that there's a player left to act. He may have a 9x, but I'm okay calling. Just getting such a good price here. He overcalls, which is interesting. And now we just want to see check and try and show down. The Jack 9, I think we can open blind versus blind. Again, yep, 3x is fine. This is just a ridiculous size, and it's so annoying when people do this. I think we just have to call, even though there's a player left to act, and it really sucks. We're just getting such a good price, right? Like, so 2.5 into 16 is 6 and a bit to 1, is it? 4, 5, yeah, over 6 to 1. We need to be right 1 in 7 times here for this to be a profitable call. Do we have the best hand 1 in 7 times with a full house? Probably. So I'm just clicking the call button here. It actually sucks that there's a player left to act. But yeah, I think we just call. I'm okay with this. What on earth just happened? All right, well, the call was apparently terrible against these guys. What on earth was that? Right, so what is the first thing you should be doing now? You should be noting. Absolutely, that is a mandatory note. That is a mandatory note, especially if these guys are regulars. So you want to put on this guy with the queens, flat queens versus button open. And then you want to put on the 10s, didn't squeeze in the big blind versus a button open and a small blind flat. And then you want to put, like, I don't know, like very small bets, passive. Mark them as fucking disgraceful. That's what you can do. Definitely mark them as nits. Definitely the queens. Not just because he didn't 3-bet. Maybe he thought he was trapping. Bad hand to do it with, bad position. But the fact he checks the flop, checks the turn, and then just calls. Like, that call on the river is disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. So you can probably tag them both as nits. And then just you need to note stuff like that, man. That is like, they should never have hands like that. So first of all, they're not good regs. So you can tag them as fun players. You can tag them as nits. You can tag them as what you want. But these need tagging right away. They need tagging right away, and they need noting right away. Especially, like, even if, like, you never see them again, because I know Stars has a lot of players, just for this session. Just so you can, like, because it's going to be hard to remember, right? Let's say you play a hand with all 5 of these guys, right? You played a hand with all 5 of these players. You're not going to remember, if you sit with all these again, exactly what hand was. Right? Thank you, Ant Mets. Thanks for the kind words. But, like, yeah, so you're not going to remember every play that each guy made, or, you know, whether they're a nit or stuff. They like, this is something I want to see improvement on. Wanted to see improvement on. And I want to see it, like, further on, that it's just, so even if you're just, it's only for the rest of the session, that's still information that you can write down and help it remember. Noting and labeling is super important, guys. Seriously, like I can't stress enough like how much you need to do it. But anyway, that hand was actually fucking ridiculous. Like the fact that they both have overpairs is like you could have given me a thousand guesses at both of their hands. You could give me 1,000,000 guesses at both of their hands that I had to get them both right, queens and tens, and I'd still never get it. Absolutely never. That was absolutely disgraceful from both of them. Alright, Jack 8 will be a fold now. The 5-6 is a fold faux show. The Jack 8 maybe blind on blind we can open. It depends on who you're playing against. But I don't want to see an open from 5-6. It's not the worst open, to be fair, in an anti-game, but I wanted to see more improvements on pre-flop ranges. That's good. Absolutely great. Fucking disgraceful is too kind. Probably right. I'm not sure what's worse, you know, the tens or the queens. I feel as though the tens is worse because at least queens you're flatting, you're not closing the action, so you could say you're trapping to maybe back 4-bet. The tens, you're closing the action versus a button open and a small blind call. That is disgraceful. Maybe they're like colluding. That would actually make sense. Ridiculous. Queen Jack will be an open here, although it's like pretty much bottom of range. So I can get behind a fold. I can get behind a fold in middle position. 6 deuce, obviously a muck. I don't want to see any nonsense hands going post flop, Sam. I don't want to see any nonsense hands. So maybe 4 tabling is better for me. I don't know. Jack 3 suited versus under the gun, definitely a fold. 10-8 suited will be a defend. Versus stone pingu. But he folds. But yeah, no, they could be colluding because they don't want to stack each other. If they know each other's hands, then they don't want to stack each other. That's why they took pussy lines. That actually could be a serious, like, that actually could be collusion. I would just mark them and write, I mean, obviously you don't have to do this for your own benefit, but just in terms of, I mean, I'm liking this. Have you done this intentionally so you can see these ranges? This is something you should do as well. So, like, maybe not just in a single raise pot, but let's say somebody 3-bets and somebody cold calls a 3-bet, or like regs start battling each other. Always go on. Always, you want to watch some of these hands, right? You want to know what they're doing things with. Like if they 3-bet you want to know how wide they 3-bet. Like if they get to showdown, you get free information. Poker is a game of incomplete information. You want as much of it as you possibly can. So why not take it where you can? I understand when you're 4 tabling, or like I'm gonna start 6 tabling fast forward, it's kind of difficult. To, you know, just stop and watch a hand and stuff like that. But so you want to see some of the gun range, that's fine. Like that's absolutely fine. I'm glad that you've done this, and then make sure that you'll note him for this. Like if you get to see an thingy. Ace-10 suited under the gun, definitely an open. I would be probably calling here. It kind of sucks because I don't think small blind is gonna have much of a bluffing range probably at these stakes. But our hand's suited, playable enough. The 3-bet's relatively small, so I think we can call her in position. I feel as though 4-betting is just too aggressive here with this hand. I'm liking the fact that you are 4-betting here, 4-bet bluffing, but I'm not sure how often it's going to work at these stakes, especially like this is, other than the big blind, it's probably going to be strong when he 3-bets. Maybe if he's very aggressive, yeah, I'm going to 3-bet a reasonably wide range because it looks so strong. But just, I think at these stakes, it's just going to be very, very strong. He does call. This is a great flop for our range. I want to see a bet here. In 4-bet pots, we can go very, very small. So I know that you're like 50%. I'm glad that's changed from 62%, by the way. But in a 4-bet pot, because look at the SPR. So the SPR is stack to pot ratio. So the pot is 41 big blinds. The effective stack, so the smallest stack, is 84 big blinds. So the SPR is 2, right? So it's basically that over that. So the effective stack divided by the pot, you get the SPR. The SPR is now 2. When the SPR is so low, we don't need to bet big. We can start betting smaller with our entire range. So with our bluffs and with our value hands. Let's say we have pocket kings here. I would also bet this flop 100%, by the way, because this flop is amazing for our range. We've got aces, we've got kings, we've got ace king. He's not supposed to have any of them, although we could have some of those hands. Ace 10 suited, we block aces. We have a backdoor flush draw, we block ace king. This is a pretty amazing flop. We don't need to bet this big. If I've got pocket kings here, I'm going to bet this flop. If I've got ace king, I'm going to bet this flop. If I've got aces, I'm going to bet this flop. If I've got something like ace 10 suited, I'm also going to bet this flop. But because we have so many strong hands, we don't need to bet this big. I would literally bet 11 big blinds here. Could maybe even go smaller. I would bet 11 big blinds on this flop. So like betting 20 is just unnecessary. Like if you're uncomfortable betting a quarter pot because you don't think it's got enough fold equity and you don't think you're going to get enough value, then 15 big blinds. A third pot. But in a 4-bet pot, betting 50% pot, I would say is just generally pretty bad. I mean, you take it down, but surely you're probably just going to take it down with 15 big blinds, right? Like, and then if he shoves, you lose just like 9 big blinds. Let's say I was betting 11 big blinds. If he shoves, you lose 9 big blinds more than you should. But I'm okay with this play though in general. Apart from the sizing post flop, I'd say the 4-bet is a little bit loose. I prefer ace jack suited if we're gonna 4-bet, and probably just have ace 10 suited as a call and the bottom of our range for calling. I feel as though it's a little bit aggressive under the gun versus small blind. But if you know that, for example, I've been advocating a 3-bet or fold strategy from the small blind. If you know he's doing the same kind of strategy, only 3-bet or folding, and you know he's going to 3-bet relatively wide, I'm okay with it. But again, this comes down to exploits. When somebody's 3-betting a ton from the small blind, you can 4-bet them more and call more. Just from a general theory point of view, you know, and a balanced range point of view, I think ace 10 suited is a little bit over the top aggressive. But at the same time, I do kind of like the aggression that you've shown in the hand. So yeah, I'm okay with that hand. I'm okay with that hand. 5's definitely an open. Why are you getting it up here though? Are we labeling? I mean, there's not really much of a label you could do there. Like, if he has a hand like queens, he's probably supposed to flat. Jacks, he's probably supposed to flat. And then on that flop, I can understand letting it go, especially to a half-pot bet. Maybe against a smaller bet, we can call. But yeah, so you can't really note or label because of that. You could maybe put 3-bet flatted in the small blind, but it doesn't really give that much information, so. And yeah, the low frequency 4-bets anyway, you don't always want to 4-bet. Let's say I talked about ace jack as a 4-bet bluff, ace jack suited. You don't always want to 4-bet bluff ace jack. Sometimes you want to call. Sometimes you want to 4-bet. This is why people use RNGs. I don't personally, but it's to keep your frequencies in check. For example, if you're always 4-betting ace 10 suited, you're 4-betting too much and you're going to end up losing money. But if you're never 4-betting like ace 10 or ace jack suited, then you're not going to be 4-bet bluffing enough. So, but like I say, at these stakes, you can probably get away with not 4-bet bluffing a lot or at all. Yeah, the a6 offsuit, I'm glad to see a fold. This is something that I probably still have leaks with. Partly from coming from a live background, I always defend in the big blind because like most of the live players are terrible. But especially versus under the gun, hands like a6, a7 off, ace2 off should all be folds. Against a button or the small blind, obviously we're calling. But yeah, definitely a fold. This is an excellent play from the small blinder, shoving 38 big blinds in. Just tag him as a fish. He's playing 38 big blinds. He's just 3-bet shoved 38 big blinds. The guy's a fish. You can tag him as a recreational, and then next time you're on a table, you're going to see all different colors, and you'll instantly know. So instead of like having to go around the table and look at the names and think, or you know, the avatars and be like, oh, is this guy a fish? I think he's a fish. Yeah, maybe he's a fish. What about this guy? Is he a reg? You'll just see all of these colors and just instantly know what kind of players they are, whether they're good or bad. And you know, you can have these as, you can have presumed regular or presumed fish as well. Like if you haven't seen much from them, but you want to give them a tag and you think they're a reg, you can, okay, I think this person's a reg, and then change it to a reg when you're more comfortable knowing they're a reg, or change it to a fish when you see them just absolutely click buttons. So labeling and noting is very important, guys. I find it mad that people don't do it. Like it's as far as I'm concerned, it's a given. So start labeling and noting, guys, seriously. And also I differentiate between the fish and the whales. That's something that obviously 5s is a folder. for 40 big blinds. It's just a fold. Oh, this is... What are you doing? Like, why are we calling 40 big blinds? Gamble it all in. Yeah, this is terrible. I feel like you're going to hit a 5. But it's terrible. Because you can have hands like 8s, right? Like, we can go back to PokerStove. And then we can look at, like, what we think is... So PokerStove is a very old school application, by the way, guys. This I wouldn't really recommend using PokerStove for things. It's just I'm old school as shit and lazy. So we've got pocket 5s, right? And then we can look at what we think his range is. So what do we think he's going to shove? So hands like aces and kings and queens, we can maybe take out, right? Because he's probably not shoving those. But he's still going to be shoving all of these. He's going to be shoving ace king, ace queen suited, ace queen, maybe king queen suited, ace jack suited. Maybe queens. People will probably shove queens. Ace 10 suited. We'll go as far as this, right? We have 37% equity against his entire range. So we need to be getting over 2 to... We need to be getting about 2 to 1. Just under 2 to 1. We're not getting anywhere near it. We're getting only just above 1 to 1. Only just above evens. VRYTAAR does know that I will yell at him a little bit. So I said at the start of the first stream... I said, I don't think he's going to shove 2s. That's the thing. I don't think he's going to shove 2s. But yeah, so I said at the start of the original stream when we did this, I was like, I'm going to just be brutally honest just to try and help VRYTAAR improve. Obviously, I don't want people in the stream, you know, doing anything or anything like that. Maybe a 5 is coming on the river. But yeah, so obviously we need just under 2 to 1 to call. We're getting nowhere fucking near it. Put it in the bin. It's a pair of 5s, Sam. Fucking get rid of it. The 4-5 suited, we could open. It's a little awkward now when somebody limps. I honestly just think we should fold, especially when he's only got 36 big blinds. But again, this guy, he's got 37 big blinds, limps under the gun, fish. But yeah, differentiate between the fish and the whales. So the fish are like, you know, they might play a 40 big blind stack. They might 3-bet shove 8s for 40 big blinds. They might limp call. Then you got the whales. Then you've got the belugas. The Moby Dicks, the people that shove 7-4 off to a... That 4-bet shove 7-4 off under the gun. Which happens. At 200 NL, this happened to me a couple of weeks ago. I'll tell you what, JJ the Jumbo, he better not open Spotify again. That's all I'm saying. No 5 on the river. There you go. You've just wasted near enough half a buy-in. I hope you're happy with yourself. Absolutely unnecessary call. And I'm glad that he didn't hit a 5 as well, because there's proof there that you don't be opening this 10-7 off. I mean, maybe at the micros it's kind of okay if people fold, but this is why you need a hood as well. If the blinds are very tight and the fold to steal is, 99%, just open pretty much any 2. That's fine. I'm trying to teach you from a theory point of view against unknown opponents to, so you can have a balanced range. So I wouldn't be opening that. But if you know that they fold to everything and only 3-bet aces and kings, then maybe you're fine. Maybe it's fine. A7 suited will be an open. 10-8 is obviously a folds. I'm still uncomfortable seeing you switch between 2.5x and 3x. Versus this 3-bet, I think we should just fold. Versus a 4x, the A7 3-way is definitely a fold. I could forgive people for calling here. It's, I've got an ace, I'm getting a good price, I'm in the big blind, but definitely want to be folding this because we're just have thingy. I think calling here is probably the worst option with A7 suited. I prefer folding by a long shot. I wouldn't hate an occasional 4-bet if you think he's 3-betting a lot. If I'm not mistaken, this guy was the guy that 3-bet flatted in the small blind, right? Which is why it'd be helpful if you noted. Yeah, it was. This was the guy that 3-bet flatted in the small blind. So you can, if you'd have noted that, you might know that he's 3-betting a lot. Or if you had a hood, especially, you would know that he's possibly 3-betting a lot. So I could maybe get behind a 4-bet. I mean, calling isn't terrible with a suited ace, but you're out of position. You can be dominated by a lot of hands, and the only kind of boards are good when you hit clubs. So this is, when you're picking 4-bet bluff candidates, you want to be doing it like hands that don't quite seem good enough to call, but almost seem too good to fold. If that makes sense. So like, I could get behind a 4-bet here if you think he's going to fold a lot, but seeing as he peeled out the small blind, he might peel a lot of 4-bets. I would probably honestly just let this go. And then if you know that he's aggressive and he ends up on a table and you direct left, I would just be opening a little less wide, which is an exploit in itself, guys. So if someone keeps 3-betting you, there's a few things you can do to counteract it, right? You can 4-bet wider, you can call slightly wider, but then also another exploit, which is the more passive way of doing it, is to just not open as wide, right? Like if we know he's going to 3-bet a ton from the button, I wouldn't want to fold this hand, for example, but you know, the hands towards our bottom of the range, 10 jack offsuit, stuff like that, we can just let go, right? Because then we get to, once we've raised, our range is now stronger, so we get to defend more 3-bets and 4-bet more and stuff. So yeah, I don't really like calling here out of position. I can forgive you for it. I think I prefer a fold, but again, I wouldn't hate a 4-bet. But there's just so many boards where, like, if we 4-bet here and he calls, again, we have range advantage here. We can just bet and get, like, a hand like 9s to fold. Whereas now we just have to check fold on this board. Because this board's so good for him as well. And we don't get to realize our equity with a hand like A7 of clubs. Because we could hit backdoor clubs, but we're not going to be able to see it. So this should be a fold here. Even though we've got backdoor, no, it's just a fold. It's just a fold, even versus a third. It sucks, but like, what do you want to hit on the turn? What do you want to hit on the turn? You need to hit running clubs. Hitting running clubs is about 4% chance, right? It's going to happen 4 times in 100. 1 in 25, you're going to hit a backdoor flush. What if you turn an ace, and he's got ace king, or ace 10, or ace queen, or ace jack, or queen jack, or king king, or 10-10? There's just no good turns for you other than the club, and even then, you still have ace high. Yeah, it's like, this is a thing though, like, this is what I'm talking about against third size bet. So I know you hate betting a third and stuff, but he's bet a third on this flop. Also, ace king is a fist pump open and small blind. He had check fold, by the way. So I'd note that. Even though you said this guy's a reg here, he had check fold clicked. Which you just shouldn't have. So this is the beauty of betting a third pot, especially in position. Like, sometimes you just put your opponent in the cage. You can't do anything with a hand like A7 suited. You just can't do anything. Just because he's giving you a good price doesn't mean you have to defend with absolute nonsense. Think about how many better hands you can have here that you call a 3-bet with. 10 jack suited, ace 10 suited, king queen suited, king jack suited, pocket 8s, pocket 10s, ace queen where we've got a gut shot and maybe a backdoor flush draw. Ace jack where we've got a gut shot. So I'd say fold pre, but if you're gonna call, which I can forgive, I can't really forgive this flop call. Because there's just absolutely nothing you can turn that's good. Like nothing. Apart from a club. And then we only have what, like 20% of hitting another club. This is what I mean. You get to realize more hands in position. Which is why I advocate not having much of a call range in the small blind. Because you don't get to realize your equity a lot when you don't have initiative. At least if you 3-bet and then, you know, you're going to c-bet on a flop like this because you have range advantage on this kind of board. Because it favors the pre-flop aggressor as opposed to the pre-flop caller. So then you get to see turns, which you can maybe barrel on. So let's say the positions were altered, right? We were in position. We 3-bet him and he calls. Then we can c-bet this flop and he has to fold hands like this or like 6-7 suited or even a hand like pocket 6s, like maybe even pocket 9s. So, you know, that's the importance of being in position. Yo, Turk, thank you for the sub, dude. Welcome to the burrow. And we backdoor a straight because, you know, and I'm definitely okay with checking this. Against a very aggressive player. The only thing I will say is a lot of his 3-bet range here is going to have some 2 pairs in. So it's like a sort of exploit here. I don't mind just betting really, really small. And trying to get like a hand like queen jack suited or like, you know. My guess is, especially if he bets, he's going to have like ace queen pretty much always there. And here we just have a call. So don't just think I've got the nuts. I'm going to shove because you're just literally increasing the rake. Remember when I said that when we're value betting or raising on rivers, there's 2 things you got to think about. First of all, how likely is it that you are beat? Now, here, the likelihood of you being beat is 0. The second thing is how likely are they to call with a worse hand? And here, the likelihood is 0. Because he's bet over the pot, I mean, first of all, he's just never bluffing. If he doesn't have an ace here, I won't do anything because I'm going to be annoyed if he doesn't have an ace. Maybe he doesn't have an ace, to be fair, but with this sizing, he either has an ace or he has nothing. He's not going to bet this with a 9 and then call a raise. He's not going to bet this with a set and then call a raise. So you want to call here because the first thing is true that you cannot you cannot be beaten. Nobody can have a... Well, don't spoil it for me, Sam. Nobody can have a better hand. Nobody, yeah, no one can have a, he can't have a better hand, but you also can't get called by worse, so you just have to call it. And he's got 7-8 suited. I like the check on the river, I do. Because like I say, you can maybe bet really small to try and get a 2-pair to call. But then if you check, he's going to do something like this. So, do we have him tagged? Do we tag him? What is the first thing you want to do? Go back on the hand. Yeah, forget about... I don't give a shit that you won the hand. That's not what's important here. Go on. Go on, do it. He's knowing! I don't even know. What do you mean you don't even know? What kind of fucking note was that? God damn it, Sam. What was that note? I don't even know. You're telling me... Mate, right. So, you go back and you note him. 3-bet, 7-8 suited, button versus cutoff. Check. Okay, let me show you how I would note here, right? Let me show you how I would note. 3-bet, 7-8 diamonds, button versus cutoff. Check, bet, overbet on 8, 10. As if you won that hand below. I can't remember what the board was exactly, but it was something like that. Literally, that's it. One line. Even if you don't want to put that, something. If you can't be arsed writing that or you don't have the time. Aggressive. Aggressive. If you can't be arsed doing that, aggro. If you can't be arsed doing that, ag. Or just A, if you know A is going to be aggressive. Not. What kind of fucking note is that, Sam? Jesus Christ. You were so close. So I want to see notes like that, right? And then you can tag him as aggressive. Also, for the record, I don't hate his line. Like, I don't hate his line. So it looks really, really retarded because he's got, like, you know, 1 pair, but it's fine. So let's judge his play in this hand just so we can thingy. He 3-bets, button versus cutoff. I like it. 7-8 suited is a hand you want to be 3-betting those hands sometimes, so you have coverage on middling boards. So I like his 3-bet pre-flop. C-bets the flop, which is absolutely fine because we have range advantage on this board, and we should be getting hands like A7. Like even like this hand, like think about this exact hand. He has a pair of 8s and he is still absolutely crushing you. So if we get PokerStars up again, and then actually look at just how much equity you have against his hand, and don't forget this is going to be one of the worst hands he's got. Yeah, you're going to have backdoors and stuff. So it's these hands on a king, 8, 10. King. So we have 20% against bottom pair. Yeah, we're going to get to bluffs and runouts and stuff, but we have 20%. We're going to win 1 in 5 against that. Anyway, so he c-bets a flop. I'm absolutely okay with that. The turn he checks. Maybe he could bet, but I understand it. We can have hands like ace-jack. We can have king-queen. We can still have sets. We can have maybe ace-jack suited. We can have queen-jack that doesn't fold. And then on the river, once you check, I'm actually okay with overbetting. I actually don't like the overbet because if I have an ace, I would never overbet this board because there's no point overbetting. We can just bet like 28 big blinds or like 27 big blinds, and we should be folding out most things that aren't sets. In fact, we have so many ace-x that we should just be folding pretty much anything. So I actually quite like his overbet. So your note input, oh, I don't even know, is just terrible because he's just put aggressive regular or very aggressive or something like that. Look at that. That note is just perfect. He did that. And then maybe you don't want to put that. Just put 3-bet, 7-8 suited, bluffed river. Easy. Stop clicking, check, fold. Like, think about this. Like, especially in this spot where somebody's limped, why are we clicking, check, fold? Like, if that goes to a flop and you're not paying attention, like you've just got this up, we could flop 4-4-3 and we've just got the check fold button already clicked. That's happened to me before, where I have had check fold button clicked with something nonsense like that, and then I flop like a straight or flop like 2-pair or something like that. Like, don't have it clicked, especially if you're not going to be paying attention fully. Just never click check fold, guys. Simple as that. You wouldn't have called a jam. Oh, wait, he's... I've just I've just gone on to Sam, and he finally changed the note, and he's literally just done it. Sam, I'm so sorry. 3-bet pre-over, bet bluff river. All right, I'm so sorry, everyone. Sam, I take everything back. I'm actually really sorry. That was a very good note. I really should have watched fucking 2 minutes into the stream before I had done that. I feel like a total knobhead. I'm gonna just get rid of the chat and pretend that didn't happen. Fours, I like the fold here, by the way. Let's move on, guys. Let's move on. So fours under the gun +1 versus a min open is a fold. I'm glad that we've seen some more folding from like this kind of stuff. So yeah, that's a good fold. So guys, don't overvalue your small pairs, like I say. Especially in these kind of positions, you generally want to have a 3-bet or fold range. Fours is way too loose to 3-bet. Calling's bad because we've got like 4 players left to act, so yeah. Anyway, so yeah, back to the stream, yeah. Sam, I'm actually a little bit embarrassed. I'm disappointed in myself. Right. So yeah, I like the note. There we go. That's what you gotta do, guys. Fucking wish I'd have just checked the next 2 minutes before going on a big rant about it. Jacks reopen, standard on the button. Again, I want to see, just in future, Sam, I want to see either 2.5x or 3x sizing from every position. Why are you having a hard time there? Like, yeah, you can fast fold this. It's 10 deuce off. It's a terrible hand. No. No. We're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. A6 on the button. Pretty marginal, but yeah, definitely don't mind an open. So how far are we in the video? 10 minutes into the video. That's fine. Okay, yeah, I can get behind that, actually, if the effective stack. But the thing is, you'd have to do it against smaller effective stacks. So I would only 2.5x if both of these have, say, less than 70 big blinds, which is fine. But then it doesn't make that much of a difference because the SPR is still going to be high. Like, even against 70 big blinds, the stack to pot ratio is still going to be very big. So I don't think it makes much of a difference, but yeah, exactly. You want to go bigger against the fish because, especially in position, because you're gonna want to put more money in when you've got position. Easiest ISO in the world with ace queen. 5's a little bit too big, I'd say, even in an anti game. Although you're deeper actually, so no. I will take that back. I'm absolutely fine with the 5x. I would generally go 3.5x, 100 big blinds deep. I think anywhere between 3.5x and 4.5x is fine, and because you're deeper, 5x is okay. But I would still, yeah, a 5-6 offsuit then here is pretty close. Versus cut off in a min raise in an anti game, I can get behind calling. Against a bigger raise, I would fold, and in a non-anti game, I would probably fold and defend like 7-8 off plus. But yeah, I'm okay with it. King 10's obviously an open. Interesting turn. I think we can bet our checker. We can maybe bet small, and then we can get like overcards to fold, so we can just protect our hand. But I'm okay with checking, but obviously we check calling. River 3, check, and we win. We could even check raise that river, by the way, because we block some straights, we block some flushes. So that wouldn't be the worst river ever to check raise as a bluff. The only problem is that he can have flushes himself. Interesting to know that he checked back to ace 2 suited. So you could open. You could note that, right? You could right click note, min open, ace 2 suited, check back. So like, if we go to our notes here again, we could put like min open, ace 2 diamond diamond, check back on 10 8 4 diamond diamond X or whatever it was, or check back flush draw. Like, from a more advanced point of view, he should be checking that back a reasonable amount of the time because it's pretty good for the big blind range. But at this level, people aren't really going to know that, so he probably just checks back some flush draws. Like, and again, from an advanced theory point of view, you want to check back some flush draws. You want to have flush draws in your range for checking back, but as a general rule, you want to be betting them, especially in the lower stakes. Right, so we have 2 easy isolate spots here. I am okay with this sizing with the ace jack. Don't over limp here. We want to raise. Again, 5's a little bit too big, especially look at his stack. Like 40 big blinds. 5's way too big here. We're in position. It's not absolutely terrible. The ace jack, I like the sizing, by the way. 4.5 is absolutely fine. Remember the small blind, we want to make it bigger out of position. And a bit smaller in position. So, yeah, I'd like to see this. 3.5x is fine. 4x is fine. I think 5's just a little bit too big. We take it down anyway. All right, so the ace jack, we can definitely do either here, bet or check. I prefer betting, again, so when we're betting a third, we can bet a third wide because we can just bet wider for value, right? So we can bet a third on this board and get called by more hands, which is good. When we start betting bigger, he's not going to defend hands like, let's say, pocket sevens or, you know, jack nine suited or something. I mean, he probably would since he limp called. But again, I prefer maybe a slightly smaller sizing. So if we're going a bit more into advanced strategies, we have like sort of, we don't have two basic strategies, but two basic strategies are to have on boards like this, either strategy 1, bet a third pot with your entire range, like literally pretty much everything, or B, bet a big size, like 3/4 pot with a more polarized range. And ace jack would fall into a check range. So if we're going with a bigger sizing, which would be bigger than this, we would be checking a lot more with some strong hands as well, but we'd also be betting a lot bigger when we do bet. So I think that if we're going for strategy 1, just bet a third. If we're going for strategy 2, this hand would make perfect sense as a check call, because we don't really want to bet too big on this board with this exact hand, so this would fall into the check call category quite well. So yeah, checking or betting this is absolutely fine anyway, just as a general rule. Half pot's kind of fine. King deuce, blind on blind, I'm okay with it. A little bit loose, but it's fine. And we want to bet this board pretty much with our entire range, even though it's a pretty shit board. We don't really have any good backdoor equity or equity in the hand, so we're just hoping he folds. But I'm okay with it. And then I'm just giving up on the turn. If he floats a lot, maybe I can get behind a bet. But if he floats a lot, we can have the best hand, although we're never going to check call. But you can still have an 8, you can have an ace, you can have some like strong draws, he's not going to fold. And honestly, we have a little bit of showdown here with the king deuce. Not a lot at all. But I would think we have better bluffs, right? So if we have king high, we don't want to bluff our king highs when we can bluff our 9 highs. Let's say we've got, you know, how are we going to have 9 high? 10 high, again, would probably be betting if we've got 9, 10. But, you know, we can just bluff worse hands than king high because we still have some showdown. So I don't like this bluff on the river. Also, what are you trying to get to fold specifically? A 7? A 7 is like the only thing that he's going to fold that's worse in your hand, other than a better king. So maybe like king 10 he's trying to get to fold. But again, if we're trying to get king 10 to fold, we should just bluff our worse hands, right? So I don't like this river bet. He's never going to fold an ace, never going to fold an 8. He can call a 7 here. He's getting 4-1. He needs to be right 1 in 5 times. Yeah, but you beat flush draws. Like, why would you want a flush draw to fold? Unless he has a king high flush draw, you beat flush draws. Unless he has a flush draw when he's hit a 5, but like, you don't even get these to fold a lot of the time. If I've got a 7 there, I'm not even thinking about folding. I mean, I am against certain opponents, but... So yeah, this is just a slam dunk check. Well, not a slam dunk check. I don't hate bluffing occasionally, but the 4-5 suited there as well, we can open, by the way. I think we were middle position. Okay, it's actually kind of close in this spot. Cut off. Wait, is that after this one? Yeah. All right, yeah, middle position. It's kind of close. I would open 4-5 suited here. I think it's the absolute bottom of the range. So yeah, I can get behind folding. I think at these stakes, I'd probably just open because we're just going to have just advantages going post-flop. So will the king 2 get through? Even if it does get through, by the way, I still don't particularly like the bluff. And look, he just called you with a 7. Like, what good is your bet if he's calling with a 7? Like, we get king highs to fold, we block king highs. Like, also, if he really wanted to, he could turn that into a bluff as well if he thought that you were maybe value betting an ace because he blocks full houses. But that's, again, pretty advanced. But the point stands, like, your bluff is bad because you just got a 7 to fold. Like, I can see that you're like, your unconscious is wanting you to open 100% on the button here. Like, so try and get that into your unconscious competence. So instead of having to think about, try and really drive it into your brain so you're not like just automatically clicking the raise button with nonsense on the button. Just make sure you improve on that. Obviously you are folding, that's fine, but you want to get it to a point where thingy. And again, like what is this? VPIP 100? Like, VPip 100 is a bad note. What exactly is your label there? I'm glad you labeled him. The thing is, in this spot, it's not really like much of a useful label. The defend is relatively loose with the 7-5, but post flop, I think he played it perfect. And in fact, it's blind on blind, so it's probably not even that wide. Let me just check the ranges that I've got and see what that says. I'm not gonna get this up because these are bluff the spot ranges, and I actually asked if I could use them. They said yes, as long as it's not this version. And so I might get the light version for next time so I can actually put it up on the screen. Where is it? So big blind defense versus a small blind. 7-5 off is a borderline hand that we can call versus loose players that open wide. So this is actually a profitable call pre-flop against people that open wide, such as yourself. Change those notes because change those labels because they're just random. VPip 100 for offsuit gappers. Like, it depends on the spot. If he defended that versus a 4x under the gun, yeah, he's a fish. But like, that's actually a profitable call. Like, according to bluff the spot ranges, that is a profitable call. So he is called profitably. He's played that hand fucking perfect. He's actually played that hand perfect. Like, and you've just tagged him there. So you could put right click, defend 7-5 offsuit blind versus blind, but he's actually played that hand like perfect. So your note saying VPip 100 doesn't really make sense because he's not VPipping 100%. Or he's probably not VPipping 100%. If he showed 9 deuce off, then by all means, but 7-5 blind on blind is a defend. So it's fine. Kings, easy open. So yeah, just be careful as well, guys. Just because you see something that somebody does that you might not agree with or you don't think it's good, doesn't mean it's not good. Like, especially when you get to higher stakes, people do random things. And it's like, well, that looks terrible on the surface, but it might actually be pretty good. Either as an exploit or from a balance point of view. Like, you don't know what's good and what's not, so don't just instantly think this guy's a fish because he defended 7-5 off. Again, if he's not playing a full stack and he defended versus another gun, then yeah, but in that spot, he's, you know, played the hand absolutely perfectly. And make sure your tags are better, Sam. So VPip 100 is nothing. Like, it doesn't really make much sense. Alright, Kings reopen. We get a 10-4 deuce. I am pretty much always betting this board. Maybe I want to check Kings sometimes, but I want to check with a spade for 2 reasons. One, it's easier with a spade because when the turn's a spade, we have easy decisions, and we're usually always drawing live at least. And 2, with the spade, we block King X of spades, which is hands that we can get called by. So yeah, definitely betting here. I'm okay with the sizing, especially 3-way. So when I say a third pot, that mainly just that's mainly just for, like, you know, heads up. Because like sizing and solvers, they only really solve like heads up poker basically. So I'm okay with it. Queen on the turn, relative brick, Queen 10 improves, Queen X of spades improves, which is still ahead of. So I'm definitely okay with seeing a bet here. Sizing's kind of awkward. I also don't hate checking. Yeah, it's kind of an awkward spot when you 3-way in spots like this, especially when there's not a full stack behind. But again, I think I'm betting. Comes down to the golden rule of poker, guys, especially at lower stakes. When you've got a good hand, you mainly want to bet. The reason why you'd want to check here is for balance, so that you're going to check some weak hands. But we're also going to turn some draws with hands like King Jack or like Ace Jack of spades, Ace Jack of clubs, sorry, that we're going to barrel turns on. So I think I generally like betting. And then it's kind of nice that he folds, because then if the fish gets it in here, we just like, it's absolutely fine. And we see literally the worst river in the deck. Everything gets there. Ace 10 improves. Spades get there. Ace 5 gets there. 5-3 suited gets there. King Jack gets there. Like, this is just a fucking shit turn. Shit river. The worst thing about this river as well, it's not just the fact that he might have us beat, which is obviously a problem. It's the fact that we can't get called by worse now. So our once very strong value hand is all of a sudden in one card gone from a strong value hand that we can shove river for value to, at best, a bad bluff catcher. So this really sucks. So yeah, check is just... unless he's an absolute whale that would call with fucking 10 Jack of hearts. It's gotta be a check. And we're just praying he checks back. It doesn't even shove. The thing is, what bluffs does he have here, and what do we beat for value? We beat nothing for value. And then what bluffs does he have? Unless he's turning a 10 into a bluff or something like pocket 8. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I think we should fold that. I mean, ace jack off is terrible. Just tag him as a fish. I don't know what he's doing in that hand. But I think we have to fold that river. What I am happy about, Sam, is that you are actually calling more rivers than you were. Like, I think this is a bad spot to call. Even with the price we're getting, just because we... Like, think about what hands we actually beat. But I am happy to see you call down in a tough spot. Because you just weren't calling down enough. This is bad. A bad call on the river. But I'm in a way, I'm happy to see you call, if that makes sense. Even though I think the call's bad. So you know what I mean from the last session. But yeah, I think we just have to fold there, which sucks. I know. Again, don't click check fold. We don't need to. Oh, we can note this guy, by the way. Just fish, definite fish. Not playing a full stack. Call on the flop is bad. The call on the turn is ambitious at best, and even the bet on the river is fucking thin. He shouldn't even bet on that river. We called with kings, which we shouldn't have. So you should just check that river. So I'd definitely tag him as a fish, and I'd note him saying, I don't know, played ace jack like I'm Monk. 6-7 suited. I can get behind a caller. I can also get behind a 3-bet. I can also get behind a fold. It's kind of a weird spot where generally we don't want to call too much on the button. This guy doesn't have a full stack. I'm okay with calling it, especially it's a lot better if you know that the blinds are relatively passive. If they're aggressive, they're going to be getting a great price on a squeeze. But on the button, I think it's okay. I think it's okay. Well, either way, like, even so, just don't click check fold. Here we just obviously have to fold bottom pair, no backdoor flush draw, no backdoor straight draws. No. Why would we call? Again, like, think about this. What turns are good? A 6. A 7 that isn't the 7 of diamonds, so the 7 of hearts or the 7 of clubs, and even then we can still be against hands like ace king or king king. Like, we just cannot call this. Even though we're in position, there are just no good turns. Even the 7 of clubs would bring 2 flush draws, meaning our equity is going to be lower if somebody has something like king jack of clubs. Let's say the turn is a 7 of clubs and we've got 2 pair and he's got king jack of clubs. He's then got any king, any jack, any ace, or any club. Not to mention he could maybe bluff on diamond rivers and stuff. So this is just a slam dunk fold. If the ace was a spade, I could get behind it a little bit more because at least we have a backdoor flush draw. But against this sizing, we just have to fold. He's wrapping a lot of strength. He's betting to 2 people, quite large. Yeah, just not even close to a caller with bottom pair. I know it sucks like calling a hand pre-flop and then flopping a pair and then folding, but sometimes you just got to do it. Like especially on boards that are just terrible for us. So slam dunk fold, and then like there's just no like things like this. We just have to check back and then fold. So nothing we can do. Kings easy open on the button. Folds, which is a shame. So like now we're just folding every single turn that isn't a 6 or a 7. Also, like you could watch that hand. Seeing as you watched that hand earlier, I think you should watch that hand. Poker Snowy is relatively okay for basic stuff, but some of the ranges are just like pretty wrong, I would say. I've been in spots, so I used to do like a stream where I did Poker Snowy, like the cash game training app, and some of it's just absolute nonsense. Most of it's fine. I'll probably do that once a week as well, guys, but most of it's fine. The free trial's useful because you have a cash game thing where you can basically take your time and it says when you're making mistakes, but some of the ranges are very random, is what I'd say. But if the free trial of Poker Snowy, you get like a week free trial, it's definitely worth it for free. So yeah. Kings, easy open, under the gun. Jack 9-3, pretty good flop. He shouldn't really have jacks, shouldn't really have, I mean he could have 9s, but yeah, we're not really beaten by a lot. And we're going for a check. I like this. I'm hoping it's going to be a check raise. I don't mind a check call though, by the way. Okay, I'm absolutely okay with it. So I've not seen Sam do this. I didn't really want to go into too much about balance and post flop strategies too much. But
but sometimes we have to slow play, right? Maybe I prefer it with aces because it needs a little bit less protection. I also think the board's so dry we can check raise and get called by Jack X. I mean, you're getting unfortunate with the slam dunk bad turns and rivers, but this is why aces is slightly better, right? Because an ace is a really bad turn. So aces need slightly less protection than kings does. So I'm okay check calling a hand like aces. And maybe check raising a hand like kings. But I like the fact that we've checked him, we've not just instantly c-bet with a good hand. Like, so we are balancing. So especially if we're playing against regulars, I think this guy's playing a full stack. No, he's just under a full stack. So maybe he's not a regular. But if we're playing against regulars, even at the low stakes, I think that we do need to have some checks. Because otherwise, let's say we're always betting our strong hands and we're always checking our weak hands, regulars are going to pick up on that, right? So when we check that board, he's like, right, sweet, it's checked, bet, you fold. And he can just bet his entire range. So we need to have some check calls and some check raises to balance our, you know, our bets, balance our range. So yeah, I'm okay with the check call. I think I prefer a check raise because the board's so dry and there's so much you can call with. But yeah. And then on this river, I think we have a bet for value, you know. He's representing Jack X. Oh no, actually it's an 8. I guess Queen 10 gets there. Ooh, this kind of sucks, you know. This is a really tough river spot. On one hand, we have a very disguised hand in that we are like quite high up in our range. On the other hand, we don't really beat a lot. Queen 10 gets there. And he's bet pot. This is a tough spot. I think I would just fold. We don't really have that many better hands than kings though. So from a range point of view, we're not going to check call, check river, check turn and then check river with like too many ace-x hands or too many sets or strong hands. So we don't really have many better hands than kings in our entire range to call, right? So in one respect, we're near the top of our range, so we might sort of have to call if you like. On the other hand, we don't really beat anything and some draws get there. So I think we can go either way here versus a pot size bet. I think I might just at these stakes fold versus pot. Because surely he's just going to bluff a lot of turns. But in saying that, you can just bluff a hand like Queen 10. Yeah, he's not going to turn like... So I would say that we only see something random like pocket 5s here that would turn into a bluff. I wouldn't be surprised to see something like pocket 5s or pocket 6s. But I wouldn't be surprised to see something like ace 8 suited, pocket 8s, Queen 10, Jack 8 suited, or even like ace jack for value. So this is tough. So honestly, I don't really know what to do. This is going to be, if you have any notes or anything on the player, that is going to be something that you can definitely use here. So yeah, really tough spot. I mean, I think you know it's a tough spot. Like, you went over call, then you're thinking of folding. Honestly, I think that you can go either way. This is a genuinely tough spot. Whatever you do here, I'm not going to beat you up on. 8-9. Nice call, Chris. I forgot about 8-9 suited. Shit, sorry guys. So I was thinking 2 pairs. I was like Jack 8 suited, and then I was like, that's the only one. But 8-9 suited as well. That makes all the sense, yeah. So yeah, that was another hand. But yeah, I think we can maybe fold. I think versus a pot size bet at these stakes, I would fold. But I can't blame you for a caller. 3s under the gun, I like folding here. On a looser table, when there's a lot more aggressive players, definitely a fold. If people are calling a lot and folding a lot, I don't mind an open. But I would generally probably open 5s plus. Maybe a bit less at these stakes, but... Yeah, but at the end of the day, Sam, you've got kings. Like, most of the time with kings, like, regardless of how many people say, I always lose with kings or I always lose with aces, you are going to make money with kings in the long run. There's no doubt about it. Even if you call every river, like, you're going to not win a lot, but, like, because you should be folding on some run-outs. But if you just literally if you were to get kings every hand, 3x, bet, regardless of the board, you will make money in the long run because kings is such a strong hand. I'm not saying you should do that, by the way, but I'm just saying it's unfortunate when you have a hand as strong as kings and you lose. It's going to happen sometimes, but generally you're going to win. 10 jack, easy open on the button. Alright, so this board is obviously not very good for our range in general. It shouldn't be too good for the small blind range, but it's probably better. He's going to have like some small pairs and maybe 4 or 5 suited and stuff. The thing is with a hand like 10 jack, we have such a little showdown and such a little equity in the hand. I don't mind betting. yeah, we've got 2 overs, but like when we have a hand like ace 10, at least we've got 2 overs and some showdown with ace high. 10 jack, we got nothing. I like betting here as just a one and done. Just bet. And if he calls, we can check back turn, and then we get to see 2 cards with 1 bet, if that makes sense. So let's say he calls and always checks turn. We can then check back the turn if we want. And then we get to see a river for free, basically. So we get to see 2 cards a lot of the time when we bet the flop. So something like 10 jack, I'm fine just betting once and then just absolutely giving up. Maybe a king we could bet because it's so good for our range. And we block some king X hands like king jack and king 10. So I like the aggression. Again, I think you're betting too fast, Sam. I think you want to just take a second before you just snap do it and go, oh yeah, it's a king. But yeah, I'm okay with this bet. Ace 10, do not fold. Fold is the only thing you shouldn't do here. And now we have a very easy check back with the 10 jack. And beat 9-7, nice. But that's sort of why I was talking that if we do check the turn, I like betting the king turn, by the way. But if we do check the turn, we can still sometimes hit a 10 or a jack and beat hands like 9-7, which is why betting the flop's okay. So I like the line. River is probably too thin to bet. Maybe ace jack we could bet, but again, it's probably too thin. Even though he shouldn't have many king X hands, he could still in theory have sets, so like 4-5 suited. So definitely check him back to the river, and nice hand. Right, so the ace 10 here, we want to at least call. 3-betting is a little bit loose, but I'm okay with it if we think. Again, but you're not 3-betting for that reason. You're 3-betting because you hate defending the big blind, Sam. And this is something we talked about last time. You don't like being out of position without the initiative. And it sucks, but sometimes you're going to have to do that. So I would say generally this is always a call. In fact, I think the ranges that I have will say that it is a pure call and that we should never ever be 3-betting ace 10, and we can 3-bet ace jack sometimes. If you think he's going to 3x and then fold a lot, I'm okay with 3-betting, but just defending this spot. We don't need to go 12, and we definitely don't want to fold. Calling is pretty much a mandatory option here. Like, why would you think about 3-betting and then decide to fold? That's what I don't understand. Why would you think, okay, this hand I can put more money in the pot with, but I can't? So you're willing to put 12 big blinds in the pot here with ace 10, but you're not willing to put 2 in with ace 10. It's so strange. I know I've said like advocate a 3-bet or fold range from the small blind. Generally, we want to be 3-betting a lot when somebody's already entered the pot. We don't want to be just calling a lot of raises. But in the big blind is the one spot where we can VPip a lot. We can call a lot. And that's fine, but the thing is, a fold isn't an option there. A fold isn't an option with a hand as strong as ace 10 versus any position we should defend ace 10 in the big blind. Versus under the gun we should defend. But definitely versus the button. 5-6 suited. All right, 5-6 suited was a mandatory open, or like a very clear open from under the gun +1. It gets weird. It gets weird when somebody limps under the gun. This is again the worst option, limping, because there's 4 players left to act. If we're on the button, I could forgive this, but look, now what? We've just been 3x'd. Yeah, so he's a bit tight. Hi, Quacky, by the way. What's going on? Yeah, Verg, so... Because he just folded that. Again, I don't want anyone saying in the chat, oh, how can you do this? Why are you doing this? Like, I'm the coach. All right, guys. All right, ace-king suited, easy open. So now we're in a spot here with a 5-6 suited where we're probably going to call if we're getting a good price, but we've just limp-called a hand. Limp-calling a hand is generally pretty fishy. And the guy 3-bet, so obviously it's a slam dunk. Fold. Also, watch and fold. Like, this is a big raise and a monster 3-bet. Why do we not want to see these hands? You wanted to know the reg from under the gun earlier, which is fine, but why do we not want to see these hands? You know, we want to know what he's squeezing with. If he shows up with something like ace-5 suited, we know he's very aggressive. If he just shows up with aces, we know he's probably a nit because he's made it a ridiculous sizing. So yeah, we want to be seeing that hand. The ace-king, I think c-betting or checking is fine. With backdoor hearts, I'd probably split this 50-50. Bet half the time. Jack half the time. Don't mind betting that kind of size. We have an advantage in the strong in the overpairs. King queen off is definitely a fold versus an under the gun open. I'm glad we folded there. Yeah, definitely a fold versus under the gun. We would be opening had it had folded round to us. I think in this spot we're gonna think. Yeah, I wouldn't limp blind on blind in general, by the way, guys. Unless you're playing quite higher stakes because the rake's going to be too high. So just have from the small blind, if someone's opened, you can have a 3-bet or fold range. If no one's opened, you can have a raise or fold range, i.e. no limping. Yeah, get that off. So this queen 10, what are you going to do here? Yeah, we're getting 4-1. We've already got a big blind in. We're only putting 2 more in. Just call, man. Queen 10 is not like an amazing hand, but we're getting a good price. We're in position against a small blind player, who's almost definitely a fun player, because he's not playing a full stack and he's just flatted out the small blind. Why are we folding? We can call from the big blind, Sam. I need to see more of that. That is the biggest leak that I'm seeing now. Just not V-pipping enough from the big blind. Just folding every big blind. It's unnecessary. I think you mainly want to 3-bet here. I think you can call, especially if you've got fun players in the big blind. Yo, Reds, what's going on? I think that you can call, but I definitely prefer 3-betting in general. And again, just a board that we're going to bet pretty much entire range on. We block ace-queen, we block queen-jack. And yeah, I like the sizing. This is what I think you should be doing in all 3-bet and 4-bet pots in general. If we're just going with our one sizing strategy, just a third pot on, you know, with entire range is okay. Then we get check raised, and it sucks. I don't really know what he's representing. Yeah, that one. So, like, I don't really know what he's representing here, right? But we can't just go and punt it in with ace-jack off, because with ace-jack, like, no flush draw or no backdoor flush draw. Because, again, we should look at this from our entire range point of view, right? We 3-bet versus under the gun. We've then bet the flop and we've got raised. We have so many better hands we can defend with. So when we think in terms of our entire range, are we going to have ace-queen here sometimes? Yes, because we're going to 3-bet ace-queen. Are we going to have king-queen suited? Yes. Are we going to have aces? Are we going to have kings? Are we going to have queens? If we're betting a third pot with our entire range, we have all of these hands that we can defend with. We're going to have some hands like jacks with a heart, which we can defend with. So I don't really know what he's going to have for value here. Maybe just a sort of overplayed ace-queen. Maybe a set of 2s or 4s. Honestly, most likely a flush draw, but we just, against his entire range, we just can't do anything. We just have to fold her. So yeah, maybe he does have queens. Maybe he check raise queens here. I don't know. But yeah, I think we just have to fold it, which I'm hoping you go and do. We can't even float either because we just have no good turn cards. Like if it was a really small raise and the 2 was the 2 of clubs, slightly better because we have backdoor straight draws and backdoor flush draws, but even that would be too ambitious. Just gotta fold sometimes, guys. Sometimes you just gotta click the fold button, you know. Sometimes you just gotta click that fold button. So the king 8 suited would have been a raise on the button for sure. Now I think we have to fold. Yeah, just too loose to 3-bet. And obviously Collins just out of the question, so it's just fold. 7-4, no question. Jack 4, no question. So yeah, the low stakes PokerStars game now have a ante. So Queen 7, blind versus blind. I like the check back. Okay, so I'm okay with this float because we have good backdoors and he's only bet 1 big blind. So I think this is okay to float it and then we can turn our hand into a bluff on later streets. I was thinking just folding is fine. We have queen high. You can still have some strong hands. But I'm okay with it. Here, it just gets a bit dicey. Once he's bet this size, I'm probably just going to fold. Probably just going to fold. I wouldn't hate raising because we block 6-7 and it's a hand we can credibly have and we still have a gut shot. But I think that, I don't know, just generally, I'd probably fold here. Just we're floated. We wanted him to slow down and bluff some turns. I mean, I think any of the options are actually fine. I think I just prefer folder. But we can float and then we can bluff on some hearts. We could bluff on like a 9 because we block like queen jack. Obviously a 6 gives us a straight. So we can float and bluff some rivers. We could also raise here, try and represent a hand like 6-7. And maybe bluff again some heart rivers and we still have a gut shot. But I think against this size in the limp pot, I think we just want to fold, yeah. But I like the fact that you kind of considered your options there. I wouldn't think that raising is terrible. I wouldn't think that calling is terrible. I just think fold is probably the preferred option there. But yeah. Better to raise without hearts in a way, but like it's one of those where, so let's say the river comes a heart, then we want to bluff with a heart in our hand. When the river doesn't come a heart, we want to bluff without a heart in our hand so that he can have, hey, look at this, rigged. So he can have hearts. So it depends on what which street you're trying to bluff. So let's say we miss a flush draw with hearts and the river doesn't come a heart. That's a hand we don't want to bluff because we want him to have missed flush draws. So we don't want to bluff our missed flush draws as a, you know, as a general run. 7's under the gun, raised up. Ace 5 on the bottom will be a fine raise as well. Always knew it was rigged. Always knew it. So it's going to be a fold now with the ace 5 versus... Yeah, go on, click it. Okay, so maybe you wanted to see his range for opening. I'm okay with that. You can do this, especially if you see the same regs in the pool. If you play on like a site with like a lower number of people, I'm okay if you get the chance to, especially if you play like, when I play on GG, if I was to play in the rush games, I would be Queen 10 suited here. I don't like calling any hands from under the gun +1 unless I'm trapping. This is, I would say this is just a fold. So I would basically have a 3-bet or fold range from this position, from under the gun +1, even though it kind of sucks, which means that we're going to have to let some hands go that are going to be profitable to play. Queen 10 suited, I think, is on the verge. I think versus under the gun, it's a bit too light to 3-bet. I don't like calling, so I would just fold it. Queen Jack suited, slightly better because it's connectors as opposed to gappers, so it is slightly better. In terms of playability. So I would probably 3-bet Queen Jack suited. You can maybe call sometimes if the pool's very, very passive and you're not going to get 3-bet a lot. But in this spot, I think Queen 10 off, I think we can just... Queen 10 suited, sorry, I think we can let go under the gun +1. It sucks. Like, we're going to have to fold some hands under the gun +1 that we want to play, but we can just do it in better positions, right? So when we call here, we still have 4 plays left to act. When we 3-bet, we still have 4 plays left to act. And we 3-bet under the gun, which should be a tighter range. So yeah, I would just fold her. I mean, you can flat like Queen Jack suited if the play's behind a nitty, but I think it's just easier just 3-bet or folding. Right, this, for example, yes, like this is what I want to see. You click this because we want to see what he's 3-betting with. We want to see what he's 4-betting with. Excellent. The 10s on the left should be a 3-bet, even versus 3.5x. I know it sucks when somebody's raised so big, but like everyone seems to flat when it's a bigger raise when we should actually be 3-betting more. For 2 reasons. First of all, we're getting a worse price on a call, so we want a 3-bet. And secondly, there's more to steal when we 3-bet. And so it works out better when we do 3-bet and take it down pre-flop, because we don't pay any rake, on PokerStars at least, we don't pay any rake pre-flop. And, you know, from an overall point of view, that is going to add up, basically. So I'd probably be 3-betting 10s there, even though it kind of sucks. Sometimes you're going to get 4-bet. If he's only got very strong hands, like if you've got a read on him and he only ever like 3.5x's like aces or kings, then I mean folding's probably too tight. I'd probably just call. But again, we go to a flop and then we end up in a position like this where we have an overpair. He's still got advantage in the higher overpairs. He can still have jacks through to aces, and now we're 3-way instead of heads up. So now we're already kind of in a spot. So on this flop here, I'm okay with raising and I'm okay with calling. So like raising is a bit thin, but we get to protect our hand and possibly knock out this guy from the pot when he has maybe a weak flush draw or like, you know, something like ace 5 of hearts or something. It's kind of a bit thin for value, so I wouldn't really recommend raising just for protection. And it sucks if you get like 3-bet on. So again, but this is why I prefer 3-betting. You're in a 3-way pot, you're already kind of hating life, and you don't really know whether you want to call or raise for protection. So at least when you 3-bet, you then have the initiative. You're then controlling the action, and you have the advantages on this kind of board. So kind of close, but as long as you're not folding on this flop, I think either's fine. 6 hearts doesn't really change much. Shouldn't be many 6x hands in either of the ranges. 5-6 suited maybe, and now we're just like, ah. And we get to see on the top right that we would have been against queens and jacks, so we would have been in terrible shape. And then you can note, I mean, you don't really have to note this kind of stuff because this is kind of standard. This is what you expect to see. 3-bet jacks, flatted a 4-bet, like, you know, this guy 4-bet queens in a squeeze spot. This is kind of standard, so, you know, you don't, it's not fishy or it's not like too aggressive, so it's just kind of standard, so you don't really need to know that. And I'm okay with the 10s fold. As much as it sucks, and as much as he can maybe have like some flush draws, you've got a player left to act that can still have some strong hands. So this is the problem with going multi-way with 10s. So honestly, I can get behind a fold here. Yeah, I think we just fold it, seeing as this was under the gun and he's wrapping like serious strength. It sucks, man. It really does. This is a problem when you don't 3-bet like, and you end up in 3-way spots. If we're heads up, we're never folding, by the way. If we're heads up, we're never folding. But the 6 slightly changes things because he can still have 6x. He can still have 5-6 suited, 8-6 suited. Maybe still sets or 4-5 suited. And he's like, think about how much strength this guy's showing. He's raised under the gun. He's bet the flop into 2 people, and then he's bet the turn into 2 people. I think, honestly, this is a tough spot. Raising is out the question. I think calling or folding are both fine. In a heads up pot, folding would be disastrous. In a heads up pot, I think we only have one option, and that's call. In a 3-way pot with the player left to act, it's close. Against this sizing, it's close. If he bets like half pot, I think I'd just always call. Against like 2/3, honestly, it's a gross spot. I'm fine with folding. But again, I think we should have just 3-bet pre. Sometimes you're gonna get 4-bet and you have to fold 10s, and that's what people are quite worried about. But you know, just deal with it. Why is the video not working? No, it is. It's fine. And I'm glad that, again, you clicked the watch on fold thing for that one as well. Obviously, we didn't get to see, but it's still, again, try any information that you can get. Try and get this information. Ace King was an easy open. I'm glad you've not got check fold clicked, even though we're folding anyway. All right, so 6-7 suited. This is pretty interesting. I can get behind a call here. This is one of the few times I can get behind a call. I'm not sure if that's going to be profitable though, guys, so don't take my word for it. So in this spot, I would generally, if we were in a heads up pot, I'd obviously 3-bet or fold. I mean, this is actually just a really tough spot. I will say now straight up that I have no idea what you should do in this spot. I don't know if calling's okay, but I'm okay with calling, if that makes sense. I don't know if calling's going to be that profitable, seeing as we're in the small blind. So I wouldn't hate letting this go. I wouldn't hate 3-betting, and I wouldn't hate calling. I'm not really sure what the best thing to do is. This is one of those weird kind of spots. Again, you can't really solve poker when it's like multi-way because there's just too many variables. It just doesn't work. So there's no real set strategy here. I would probably lean towards calling just because this guy seems like he's a fun player. He's flatted. He's not playing a full stack. I know we're out of position and that sucks. So if we're against fun players, I think we can call. And then if we're against like aggressive regulars, I think we can fold. But yeah, 3-betting's fine. 3-betting is fine. I'd make it bigger than this for sure. Again, you're kind of right in that we said that if you're stuck with sizings, generally 3x in position, 4x out of position. This is a 4x, but you want to, I'd say 4x and then add at least another big blind or 2 for when there's another person in the pot. You can even add what they have in the pot. So let's say he 3-bets, he calls, we can make this 4 times plus that, so 12.5. If he calls as well, we could make that 4 times plus that. So we could go as big as 15 in that spot. So I think you want to go a little bit bigger, especially out of position. But yeah, I mean, I probably 3-bet suited connectors too much. Because you want to 3-bet this sometimes, but not all the time, basically. You want to have frequencies where you're not always 3-betting this because you're going to be 3-betting too much. But I'm definitely okay with the 3-bet. The King 10 suited is an open. He's going to call a lot there, which is kind of annoying. So this is why I can get behind a call pre-flop, because when fish call there and they're not playing a full stack, when you 3-bet, they're going to call a lot anyway, and you're going to be out of position with 7 high, which is fine. We can try and run him over on some boards and stuff, but yeah. So again, we're in a kind of sucky spot here. I would say that we bet this with our entire range. If we know he's just going to be dead sticky, though, I honestly wouldn't hate just check folding this and giving it up. Maybe because we're so low down in our range and there are some okay-ish turn cards, I'm okay with betting. And I don't even mind the sizing, just slightly a bit bigger. And then on the king turn, I think we just give up. I might check turn and then bet rivers. I don't hate betting the turn. I don't hate betting the turn. It doesn't mean he's always going to have a king, but because he's shown like quite like sticky behavior anyway, he might just call with a 10 on the turn and stuff anyway. Yeah, and honestly, I don't hate bluffing this, but I don't think it's going to work against fish. So remember that we said that when we're bluffing, we want to have like different criteria for bluffing. So the two main criteria are, one, blocking some of the strong hands that they can have, so they can have less of the strong hands, but two, bluffing the lower part of our range, like the very bottom of our range. We don't really block any hands with this. Maybe with something like Queen Jack, we'd block King Queen, King Jack, Queen 10, stuff like that. So we don't really block any of the strong hands. But the second part of the criteria, we have the worst hand we can ever have here, right? Can we ever have a worse hand than 7 high? Unless we can't, because if we were 3-betting, we wouldn't 3-bet 6-4 suited, that's far too loose. So the worst possible hand that we can have here is 7 high. So if we're gonna have some bluffs against fish, which we should, but they should be less, then this in a way is a very good bluff because it's the bottom of our range. So we also unblock some of the hands that he could call the flop with and then fold the river. Ace Jack, Ace Queen, Queen Jack, Queen 9, Jack 9, stuff like that. Elaborate on using bottom of the range. So I just mean the worst hand we can have. So think about what hand we have relative to the board. We have 7 high. We can't have any worse hands than 7 high. So let's say we have a pair of queens. We'd never bluff a pair of queens, right? Because it wouldn't work as a bluff. We'd be value betting. But as you go lower down, so let's say we go down to pocket 4s. If we 3-bet 4s, we're at the bottom. We're lower down in our range. When we have hands like ace high, we're a bit lower down. But then when we have 8 high or 9 high or 7 high, we're even lower down in our range. So this is the worst hand we can ever have on the river, 7 high. So if we're gonna bluff by betting flop, checking turn, and betting river, this in at least some way, because you get more hands to fold. If I bluff with ace jack, I get ace queen to fold, maybe 10s, stuff like that. Yo, Nightwish, what's going on? Whereas if I bluff with 7 high, I get 8 high to fold, I get 9 high to fold, I get maybe a 10 to fold, I get pocket 6s to fold, 7s, 8s, 9s. The worse hand you have, the more you get to fold, so the better your bluff is, right? Like, let's say we tried bluffing with a 10. We tried turning a 10 into a bluff. What are we trying to get to fold, right? A better 10? Jacks, queens? But when we have 6, 7, we get ace highs to fold. Maybe a 10 to fold, stuff like that. So in that respect, it makes it kind of a good bluff. The only problem is because he seemed quite sticky, he's gonna call a lot. I wouldn't hate bluffing this though, because he can still have hands like ace queen and ace jack. So I'm okay with the bluff. I like it. I like it, Sam. He fucking went for it with 7 high. Lovely. Ace jack, king queen will still be all queen jack. Hi, Ash. So yeah, I'm okay with that. Actually, well played, Sam. You don't want to do that too much though as well, because generally that's what a lot of fish will do. It's so funny because some plays that I used to see fish do back when I was playing 5 years ago, like that is like a good way of playing now. So for example, on this turn, we have to balance this. So I would check with a hand like ace king sometimes, right? Because we block some of the king X hands. We want him to bluff when he doesn't have a good hand. And we want to protect our range. So if we're going to check sometimes with 7 high in the turn, we should also check with some strong hands. So yeah. So as long as that you are checking sometimes when you have a king or like a hand like pocket queens, which you could value bet on the river, then I think bet check bet is a pretty good line. As long as you're not doing it every single time, of course. So nice, Sam. I like the aggression. Like I said, you've got to be careful against fish because he seemed quite sticky with the pre-flop call, so the 3-bet, the flop call. So if he's got a 10, he's probably not folding, but he can still have hands like ace jack and ace queen and stuff. So yeah, and because we're so low down in our range, fucking smash it in. Why not? 7 high. Can't win by checking, can you? Very nice, very nice. All of these are pretty easy folds. 7, 8 in the cutoff's too loose, so you can fast fold this. 8-4 suited under the gun. Also a folds. Queen jack in the cutoff is going to be an open. Oh, I like it. I like it. This is like the bottom end of our range. When you start playing a lot more and you recognize the regulars and you know who's on the more aggressive side, these guys are near enough playing full stacks. These guys might be regs. If you know they're regs, You can also check on PokerStars how many tables they're playing as well. So if they're playing like between 2 and 4 tables or 4 and 6 tables, they're probably going to be regs, whereas when they're 1 table in with a short stack, they're probably going to be fun players. So I can get behind a fold here if these guys are very, very aggro. But as a general theory point of view, Queen Jack from the cutoff is going to be an open. If we had an ace or a queen, more likely he's got some sort of hand he can call us with. We don't want to block his missed hands. Exactly, we don't want to block his missed hands, but more importantly, we're at the very bottom of the range. All right, this sucks absolute balls. First of all, they're probably not rags, either of them. The first mistake is this. It's not a big enough 3-bet versus a 3x when we're out of position. You want to make this at least 10 big blinds versus a 3x. And then a cold call is generally not very good. So these guys probably aren't solid rags. This is a really annoying spot as well. On the one hand, we're getting an amazing price. We're getting like 4.5 to 1 on a call. And we're in position. On the other hand, our hand is fucking trash. Like, Queen Jack facing a 3-bet, Queen Jack offsuit, is just terrible because we're dominated by hands like Ace Jack, Ace Queen. Obviously, Jacks, Queens, Kings, and Aces. Top pairs are never really good. Our hand's not suited. It's connected. Queen Jack suited would be a very, very, very clear call. Queen Jack offsuit. No. I mean, I saw you going for the pot button. I'm okay with the fold. I also don't hate calling because we're getting such an amazing price, but it's kind of sketchy. If you're still relatively uncomfortable in your post-flop game, I can get behind a folder, and I like that you've gone watch on fold. The queen 4 there, although we've got a pair and a backdoor flush draw, there's a player left to act, and yeah, so I think we just have to muck the queen 4. That was obviously a limp pot, I assume, so I'm okay with that. Queen high board could have got us into trouble. I mean, I would never cold call, and in general, as this guy has done, so cold call in the 3-bet. Some people do it with just a very linear range, like a very obvious range of like 9s, 10s, jacks, like ace, queen. Hands they don't want to 4-bet, but that are too strong to fold. I would just 4-bet my entire range that I'm going to continue with. But some people would also do it with aces, so it's kind of tough to gauge how they're going to play. So yeah, I can definitely get behind the queen jack fold. Because if it goes like this 3-way, it might not. Maybe he's not going to bet 3-way, but it gets very, very tough with top pair. So yeah, I'm okay either way. I mean, if we got to this point, obviously if it goes check, I wouldn't, yeah, we don't get to see what he's got. So he's repped a lot of strength. I wouldn't be surprised to see a hand like pocket 9s here, maybe pocket aces or pocket queens. The only thing is, because we had a queen, there's only 1 combo of 9s, 1 combo of queens, 6 combos of aces. Maybe he's got a hand like pocket 5s, 8-9 suited, I don't know. So unfortunately, we didn't get to see that, but I like the fact that you watched the hand. Gaining information there, especially against people that are in the pool a lot, is just like, you have no idea how useful it can be. Like I said earlier, poker's a game of incomplete information. Any more info that you can gain is valuable in any spots. 8-5 offsuit, obviously a fold in the big blind. Stop clicking check fold, but it's going to be a fold anyway. I wouldn't fast fold the a6. Again, this is what people tend to do in habit. So they see a6, they don't think it's a very good hand, which it's not. But blind on blind, this would definitely be an open. And this is what you see a lot of fun players doing, right? They see a6, they're like, I'm not waiting all this time for it to get round. So they just like fold hands like that. So they might be tighter in the small blinds. Obviously, it's kind of annoying because if somebody opens, you're going to fold anyway, right? But blind on blind, it should be an open. So I wouldn't fast fold there. Just like if you're in a regular game and it folded round to you, you would just open, right? You wouldn't already have fold clicked. So that's something, Chris, like, all right, so I've been listening to, I've got an audiobook of The Mental Game of Poker, and that's basically like revenge tilt. It's like a kind of tilt called revenge tilt. Like, for you guys that are either starting out or have problems in your mental games or get angry and stuff like that, read or get an audiobook for The Mental Game of Poker. It is, if nothing else, it's incredibly interesting and it's insightful. Yes, there we go. Look at this, left-hand table. We see him, so your reaction is to call, and it used to be mine. Like your sort of almost human behaviors. I've got a pair, I don't want to put a lot of money in the pot, someone's min raised, call. But in this position, you're now learning that it's not going to be profitable in the long run to call, so you folded, so I love that. So nice fold. I know that seems obvious to some people, But that is a spot where, like, you will lose money by calling there under the gun +1 with a hand like 3. There's no question about it. It's just a fold. The 6-7 suited, again, I could be okay with a call, especially with a fun player by the looks of things, not playing a full stack in the big blind. And a 3-bet on occasions. You could maybe even let this one go. Yeah, don't want to go that size. Yeah, a little bit smaller. I'm okay with it slightly bigger because we're deeper, actually. So I'm actually okay with that. And then the Queen Jack suited, we got an interesting spot. I think we should go for a squeezer. And I like it. I'm okay with the sizing. It's a min raise. There's 3 players in the pot. We want to go at least 12 there. I think anywhere between 11 and 14 is fine. I would probably go 12.5 or 13. I like the sizing. I think 12 is fine. Lowest pocket pair I call in that spot would be nothing. I'm folding 2s through to 6s. I'm probably folding 7s. I'm probably 3-betting. I don't really like calling under the gun +1 because you just allow people to squeeze, especially as you get higher stakes. So I'm probably never calling, and honestly, I'm folding anything lower than 8s. So I'm probably 3-betting 8s plus, and even 8s I don't like. Okay, so we 3-bet the Queen Jack suited. The under the gun raiser calls. We get a board that's good for our range because we still have advantage in the overpairs, and 9's kind of shitty. All right, I want to see what you do here. Because this is a fun hand. I don't hate giving up. And mandatory bluff on this river. Love it. I'll talk about 8-9 suited on the right is definitely an open. I'll talk about some things in the hands. Okay, so the things that I like, and the things that I don't like, and then I'll go over what I would do in this spot sometimes and for what reasons. So 3-bet pre, I like. Bet on the flop, I like, and I'm okay with the sizing. We can even go bigger because we have range advantage, but like I say, to simplify post-flop strategies in 3-bet pots, on boards you're going to bet, just bet 1/3 with basically your entire range. The turn's kind of interesting. I don't hate giving up. I wouldn't give up, and in fact, I'll tell you why. So Queen Jack suited. So we're going to 3-bet a lot of high cards here, right? So we're going to 3-bet hands like Ace King, Ace Queen, you know, King Queen suited, stuff like that. Queen Jack is one of the worst hands we're going to have, right? So that's Queen high. We've got King highs, we've got Ace highs, we've got pocket pairs. This is going to be one of the worst hands. So if you remember the criteria I was talking about for bluffing, right? So there's 2 things. First of all, we want to block a player's calling range. We want to block some of the strongest hands in our opponent's range, and we also want to be bluffing when we're lower down in our range. This hand is perfect for both. Queen Jack of hearts. We block pocket jacks, we block pocket queens. They're the 2 strongest overpairs that he can have. Unless he flats aces or something. Obviously, if he's got 9s, well, fucking good luck to him. But, so, we block some of the strongest overpairs he can have, queens and jacks, which could easily flat from these positions, right? We also unblock diamonds. He could have a hand like Ace Queen of diamonds, Ace Jack of diamonds, which can call the turn, and then if it's a non-diamond, we could fire the river. So this, I actually think, once I bet and he calls the flop, I'm tripling here as long as there's no diamond. So this turn, I'm going to bet, and I'm probably going to bet about 21 big blinds. Nope, I'm probably going to bet smaller. I'm probably going to bet about 18 big blinds, because that's what I'll be doing with my strong hands as well to get value. And then it leaves us basically just under a pot size bet to shove the river. And obviously on this river, once we've bet the turn, if he does call, we are slam dunk shoving the king, an offsuit king river. And if he has something like king queen of diamonds, then it sucks. But yeah, so this river I would say is a mandatory bluff, because we have all the ace kings, we have king queen sometimes, maybe king jack sometimes. Sometimes he might have a hand like king queen of diamonds, but he's also going to bet that turn a lot. And we just have so many ace kings, and we can still have hands like aces and kings, right? We don't always bet the turn with aces and kings. The only thing I don't like is that you've literally gone 75% bet. Like, you've snap bet again. You need to be thinking about this. I don't know if this is a tell with you. I don't know if you'd bet this fast when you have a hand like ace king. But either way, you just want to slow it down. You want to pretend you're thinking about it. So let's say you do have ace king. You want to be like, okay, I'm going to bet here. What am I going to bet? The size on the river is okay, but I think that we could get away with a smaller bet. We'd want to bet a bit smaller for value as well, right? If we had a king, we don't want to get hands like 8s and stuff to fold. We want to give them a slightly better price. But then when we are bluffing, the bigger we bet, the more often it has to work. So if we bet just about half pot, we could save ourselves, you know. So if we're betting half pot, it's going to be 27 big blinds. So we're going to save like 12, 13 big blinds by betting half pot, because he's still going to call with a similar range. He's still going to call with his king, queen suited. So, you know, maybe he calls with a hand like 10s anyway, because, you know, he's close to the top of his range. So yeah, I like this play. The only thing I don't like is the bet sizing on the river I can get behind. I'd go a little bit smaller. Even if it's like 60% pot, 75% pot seems a little overkill. And I don't like the fact how fast you bet on the river. I think you just need to take your time in river decisions. Just in general, guys, like the river decision in 3-bet pots, like this is one of the bigger pots we've seen. Like 53 big blinds is like quite a lot, right? So you don't want to be just like making snap decisions for lots of money or lots of big blinds, right? So yeah. So like I said, this makes a pretty good hand to triple, especially if it's a non-diamond river for the reasons we talked about. We block some of his strongest overpairs. We unblock a lot of the bluffs that you can have. And also we're quite low down in our range. But yeah, I don't hate just giving up if you're uncomfortable and if you think he's stationary. But yeah, I like the play. I'm okay with that. The bet options, am I okay with them? Yes and no. And he gives us a bit of a sweat before folding, and we take down a nice pot. So I like that play. I will have a look at them in a second. So queen 6 should be a fast fold. We don't need to, we're never opening queen 6. Ace 3 versus a raise, obviously is going to be a fold. And 3 are going to be a fold. I will have a look at them, the sizings again in a second. But I'm generally okay with it. I think it's 33%. I'll go over them in a sec. Again, don't have the check fold button clicked, but obviously we are folding. I don't have check. Yeah, definitely don't have it. We should be defending A7 versus late position open. Fold around to us. Anyway, Jack 8 off on the bottom. We can probably just fold, especially with a limp. We don't want to ISO this wide. Can ISO pretty wide. Jack 10 off plus. We can probably ISO just like as wide as what the button should open, but Jack 8 off's just like a bit too loose. Even if it isn't open on the button, it's like at the very bottom of the range, Jack 8 off suit, so just fold. Queen 9 suited versus an open. I wouldn't hate a 3-bet in specific scenarios. The scenario being that the player folds way too much to 3-bets, and even then it's a bit, yeah, I just wouldn't bother actually, to be fair, just fold. We're not starting this again, are we? What the fuck are you doing here? What are you doing? Sam, why have you done this to me? Sit out of your fucking tables if you're gonna do this. Why do you always do it when you get a big hand? Are you just trying to wind me up? Is that what it is? Every time you get queens, it was the same in the last video. Oh, alright, yeah, alright. So, alright, I'll tell you what. Now that I'm just in the middle of stream, yeah, I'm just gonna start fucking Googling random shit. Like, yeah, that's fucking Donald Trump. Yeah, alright. So, alright, he's the president of the United States. What the fuck are you doing, Sam? Every time you've got queens as well, it's so random. It's so weird. It probably annoys me more than, like, other people. Oh, it just does my head in, Sam. I can't lie. Fucking stop it. If anyone does this shit, you're getting barred from the stream. I feel as though it's like, you know, when you see somebody open and you're like, ah, shit, right, I'm going to have to change my music or start fucking goons, mate. Absolute goon. I've had enough of you, Sam. Winding me up. All right, anyway. Hilarious. Okay, so we 3-bet. The 3-bet's a little bit big, but he has opened quite large. But still a little bit big. Probably want to 3x. Probably want to make that 11 at the most. But you are kind of deep, so I'm okay with it. But yeah, definitely 3-betting. Probably go smaller than 13.5. Just watch out on your sizings, you absolute knob. And we'll carry on. Stop clicking the check fold button. Sam, we're gonna have words. Anyway. Are we good to go? Can we carry on? Yeah. Fucking hell. Right, 6-7 suited under the gun, definitely an open. I'm liking that you're doing this. You undervalue. I probably overvalue suited connectors, but we want to have some hands that do well on certain boards. So 6-7 suited should definitely be an open. We have a flush draw. This is the hand that I saw. This is the hand that I saw a part of, and I thought it was amazing. So like I said, I didn't watch any of this video apart from I watched the first hand, and then I skipped to a random point in the video, which was this point, and saw the action here. I didn't see the action. I saw what happened. Okay, so we check the flop. I'm okay with it. I'd probably bet entire range here. I'm okay with the check raise. I like it. I fucking like it. A little bit big, but I'm okay with it because we can still have all the overpairs which you can check raise. So I'm definitely okay with check raising there. Yeah, I'm okay with the size of that position actually. Maybe like 14 or 15, but yeah, no, I'm okay with it. Especially when we have advantage. He calls, we turn an open-ender. I don't think this is the worst play. I honestly don't think that overbet shoving here is the worst play. All right, so, okay, it's not the worst play from an equity standpoint. From a balance standpoint, it's hard to balance this with any actual good hands because you're probably never shoving aces in the spot, right? You're probably just never shoving aces. But yeah, so, okay, so from an equity standpoint, because we have a ton of equity in the hand but no showdown, I understand why you want to do this. And I actually think that I remember seeing somewhere like a bot that was trying to like beat humans, that was allegedly beating humans. Yeah, stop snap betting as well. Make sure you take time with your decisions, Sam. But for like the bot was doing things like this because it has so much equity. Given what you actually should fold out from a GTO standpoint, you can actually shove here. The problem is that you don't get a lot. You don't balance this with strong hands, so it's kind of always a hand like this. What I would probably do in this spot is just bet large. Now, if you look at the stack to pot ratio, there's nearly 40 big blinds in, and he's got like just under 90. So the stack to pot ratio is just over 2. We can just bet really large here, and then call off. So I'm fine with betting like 28 big blinds, and then when he shoves, it sucks, and we're like, okay, but we are committed then against his entire range. We could like overbet turn with aces, but like we're just gonna miss out on a lot of value. I just think generally because nobody's going to overbet shove with aces, and like because you'd have to balance it very specifically, right? We're not going to overbet shove all of our flush draws. It's just the fact that we've turned an open-ender as well. So that's why I like it. So we're not going to overbet shove all of our flush draws. So what are we going to do? Specifically overbet shove 6-7 of clubs and 6-7 of spades, along with maybe 10 jack of clubs and 10 jack of spades, and then aces and kings. It basically, it just gets too hard to balance. So, and again, this is talking from a theory point of view. From just in a vacuum, this exact hand point of view, I'm okay with it. I'd probably still just bet like, you know, 2/3 pot and then call off or whatever. We could even check shove the turn as well and allow him to maybe bluff. I just think I don't think this looks strong. Like, even though you shove twice pot, like, it just looks, especially when you snap done it, it looks like a desperation kind of shove, where you've got equity in the hand like a flush draw. But, like, why would you do this if you ever had, like, pocket 8s or pocket 9s or even pocket aces, right? Or a 3. Why would you ever do this? But I understand it and I actually don't hate it. Because we just have so much equity in the hand. But I think I'd just bet a little big. I think I'd just bet, like, 2/3 pot and call off. Also gives us options on rivers. Or maybe even check shove in turn. I don't hate check shove in turn. Because then it looked like you can just check raise and then giving up, and then he might still bluff his flush draws. He might still bet his like 8x or like, you know, random hands like pocket 10s. And then we can shove and we still have fold equity. So I think I prefer check shoving. I understand why you've done this, and I honestly don't think it's the worst thing ever. But like, there's so many times against bad regs in 200 NL where I've made calls. There was a really good hand where I had like third pair and a flush draw, and I was like, I've got the best hand here, and the guy was all in, like it was like over a 200 big blind pot, and I was like, I have the best hand here with like third pair. I had a flush draw to back it up, and I probably wouldn't, but with the way he took the line and the fact that he overbet shoved quickly, I was like, he just can't have it here. And he didn't. He had a flush draw. He had a flush draw on overs, and we ended up winning the hand. And that's what it feels like. This guy might call with an 8 and be like, okay, this guy doesn't have a strong hand here, which I could forgive him for as well, because it doesn't really look that strong. Like, you're never going to do this. Board pair is relatively irrelevant. If he's got 8s or 9s anyway, it's a sick cooler. Yeah, he's got 8s or 9s, but is he really going to bet 8s for just over half pot on the flop? He's got 8s and 9s. If he's got 8s and 9s, it's unlucky. It's still a cooler. It's the same as if we have aces. So yeah, that was an interesting play. I understand why you've done it. I prefer maybe check, shove, and turn. If he's got 8s or 9s, fucking good luck to him. Congratulations on hitting a boat against an open hander and a flush draw. So yeah, it's a weird hand, that, Sam, but in a vacuum, just from that hand, I don't hate overbet shoving because of the equity you have and the little showdown you have because you've only got 7 high. But from a balance point of view, especially when you start moving up, it's just too hard to balance with actual value hands. Unless you, like solvers won't do that, and then they won't balance it. Like, they might overbet if you're slightly deeper, but we can't do the, what do you mean the actual math? What math do you want to do real quick? I can tell you what equity you have in the hand, but it's going to depend on what his range is. I don't know. One, it's too hard to work out. It doesn't work like that as well. I could work out the amount of times he needs to fold if we assume that every time we get called we are drawing dead, but considering the different hands we can call with and the different equities we have against those hands, it's too hard to work out. It's literally like just impossible math. All in all, I don't hate it. Right. Okay. I'm definitely okay with the size, and we're a little bit deeper, so this is fine. Cutoff versus button, we're going to 3-bet probably a bit more, so I'm definitely okay with sizing down, maybe. So like I say, as long as it's at least 3x, because we're a little deeper, I'm fine going a bit bigger. So I could make that maybe 9.5, because we're deeper. But yeah, 8.5 is pretty much bang on with the queens. So at least we're not seeing those ridiculous sizings anymore. 3s is probably an open from middle position. I can understand folding. I might fold there on tougher tables with pocket 3s under the gun +1. As long as you're not folding like 5, 6s plus or like 6s plus, then folding the bottom end of the pairs under the gun on +1 is absolutely fine. All right, so we've got queen jack suited in the small blinds, facing a limp under the gun. Definitely want to 3-bet out. Even though it kind of sucks because under the gun can still have strong hands. Calling is okay, but again, we end up out of position and we go at least 3-way, right? So let's say he's just going to limp call. Sometimes he limp raises, but you know, that sucks. If we call here, he's getting an amazing price. He's definitely not folding. So we're going probably at least 3-way, probably 4-way. And we're out of position. So definitely like 3-betting. Why would we ever fold? Never fold, man. Why would you fold? Why would you fold? All right, so if you got a note saying this guy always limp raises under the gun, I could understand it, and he's going to sometimes, so if he does this time, we could note him. Queen jack suited is a strong hand with a lot of playability. This is going to be a 3-bet. I understand why you don't want to call, and it comes back to the mistakes that you're making where in the big blind, you don't want to call, so you only 3-bet or fold, which I know I've advocated it from the small blind a lot, but calling is better than folding here, and I think 3-betting is better than either. So the worst option here is fold. Like in this spot, because our hand is so good. Like suited broadways are good hands. Suited connected broadways, especially. Queen 10, like king 10, slightly worse, but queen jack suited, 10 jack suited, king queen suited, never, ever, ever fold in these spots. So calling is better than folding. The best option is definitely 3-bet there. I would 3-bet to like 12 big blinds. Maybe, yeah, 12 big blinds. And then if he limp raises, it's just tough shit. And then we note him saying he limp called 4-bet. And there we go. He's not using the HUD, so no. But you could base that maybe if you've got a lot of notes and a lot of reads on the players, which again, if you've labeled people and noted people, then it's kind of fine if you know he always limp raises under the gun. But even then, he's not always going to limp raise under the gun. So, alright, queen 6, 8 deuce, going to be folds. How long has this video been so far? Queen 10, yeah, it's probably the bottom range for the open. I'm okay with just letting it go. I'm okay just letting it go under the gun +1. It's actually probably a fold. It depends on the table again, but it's very close anyway. I think either's fine. Queen 6 suited, you could have opened blind versus blind, so I don't like seeing fast folds. And like, so here, so we, this is good thing of noting, right? So we have like a set range for opening blind versus blind. Queen 9 would be an open blind versus blind. But you know that this guy is aggressive, right? So I'm going to open less wide into him. Or if I do open, I'm going to 4-bet more or I'm going to call more versus 3-bets. I would not be shocked at all to see a 3-bet. Yeah, exactly. I saw that going up. So, okay, I would have just folded pre because he's aggressive. If we are going to raise, we have to fold that hand. We can't go 4-betting queen 9 off. We can't go 4-betting queen 9 off. I've seen worse slots for 10-6 suited, to be honest with you, in limp parts. Fine with limping. I wouldn't hate, it's a bit loose, but I wouldn't hate like raising pre, especially if you limp folds a lot. If you limp raises a lot, definitely check, but like some players will never ever limp raise and only limp call or limp fold, and then I think we can raise these kind of hands. So interesting board. We block everything we want him to have. So I can understand checking. I might just throw out a 1 big blind bet there just in case he wants to check raise or some shit. I think that's absolutely fine. And I'm actually really glad you're doing this as opposed to just checking. I think check is definitely a viable option. You're going to want to check sometimes and bet sometimes. But like most people, when they hit really strong hands, when they're starting out playing poker, they just check because they're like, like I've got such a good hand, I want to trap. Like, which is obviously a good thing to do sometimes, but you also, it's good to know that you're willing to bet and sometimes just get folds even with your strong hands. Sometimes that's going to happen. But generally against fish, you want to put more money in the pot. Yeah, ace-10, easy open. 6-9, giggity giggity, giggity goo. He's going to go in the muck though. 10-9 suited, it's going to be an easy open. Had Grisha opened, it would have been awkward because he's only got 25 big, so it probably would have had to be a fold, which sucks. Maybe a call if you know there's fun players behind. And Queen Jack under the gun, I think we can just let go. I would be opening King Queen plus. I'd let King Jack offsuit go. So that's fine. The ace deuce, I'm okay, even against limps. Maybe if there's a few limps we can call, but our hand's so bad out of position. 6-7 off, we can probably raise blind on blind. I think I prefer folding, yeah. And the ace 3 is obviously a muck on the button. 69 again, giggity. Be a bit loose, but I think it's okay for a button open. Close to the bottom of range. Again, if you know that the blinds are very aggressive, but again, when like the big blind has check fold on, like a lot, then you know you can just do that more, and then you can maybe start even raising smaller to give yourself a better price. So the king queen here, this is primarily going to be a call, and sometimes we're going to 3-bet. I think we're primarily going to call in this spot. And the king 10 suited, I honestly don't hate just folding. The only thing I don't like here about your 3-bet with the king queen is you're not doing it. You're 3-betting here 100% of the time. You're never calling here because I know you hate calling from the big blind, and that's bad. You're going to be over, you know, you're going to be 3-betting too much basically. But because it's going to be a profitable 3-bet, it is fine. Again, king 10 suited, you're in this awkward spot. Like, I'm fine letting this go versus under the gun when we've still got players left to act. If we're on the button and the blinds are fun players, maybe we want to call and see a flop. As a general rule, because we want to be 3-bet or folding in these positions, I would probably fold king 10 suited and just 3-bet king jack suited plus. It's like, it's on the absolute cusp of whether we should be 3-betting, you know, for value or not. So, well, as a bluff, but yeah, I think I'd just let the king 10 suited go. So I'm okay with that fold. I'm okay with the folds. These are going to be folds. You've slowed down your play a bit, which is fine if you would be slowing down post-flop, which you're not. You're probably fucking around with Spotify off screen, aren't you? Alright, so A7 versus late position, we definitely want to be defending. Against under the gun or under the gun +1, we are going to be folding. Yeah. So I call way too much in them spots, even now. That's still my biggest leak. Like, pre-flop leak. Pre-flop, I'm very, very good with ranges. And I'm good at, like, knowing when to, like, exploit as well. Like, nothing, there's no decision here with the King 5. You don't need to go over his stats or his, where he's from. I'm like, oh, right, he's from Serbia. Right, let's 3-bet him. Little shit. 10 jack, definitely a folder. Don't be calling here versus an open. Obviously, it'd be an open should it fold rounded. Nice. King 7, probably a little too loose on the button. I'd probably raise King 9 off plus. But again, if you think people are over folding, especially in anti games, you can raise wider. So I don't think it's terrible. But again, this is why a hood helps. Or this is why labels help. Because then you know if they're both aggressive regulars, just mock. If they're both passive fish, raise. And you can really, really like widen your ranges based on those decisions. But as a general rule, I'd say fold it. If we're going from the theory point of view, which is what I'm trying to teach, I would say just put it in the muck. Queen, queen, easy fold. Again, King 6 off on the button, probably a bit too loose. I'd probably open King 8 off plus or King 9 off plus for sure. Because King 9 has connectivity as well. And obviously the higher the bad kicker is, you still have some value with it. Interesting. So we've been 3-bet here and we have queens. Honestly, I'm probably just 4-bet getting in. Unless it's a massive nit and then I might just call. The problem is here that the button's already called. Which means it's worse calling because then he might call as well. Chris, thank you so much for the sub, dude. So like it's worse calling here because then the button can come along and we're out of position. But then the good thing about that is because the button's called, the big blind's going to squeeze wider. So let's say we open and the button folds and the big blind 3-bets. We probably just want to call here because especially at these stakes, big blind versus under the gun 3-bet is going to be very, very tight. So yeah, I'm going to be 4-betting here and getting it in, even though we hate it. And I think I'm loving the size, and let's see what you go with. I'm definitely okay with this. Maybe slightly bigger. No, I think this is probably perfect. So the idea is that, I mean, you're probably going to fold to this, aren't you? The idea is that we want to be bluffing sometimes. So if we're going to have 4-bet bluffs, we're going to have 4-bet for value. So we, yeah, you're going to fold, aren't you? Okay, so, no. If you're gonna fold, why are we 4-betting? Why bother 4-betting? Like, so if you 4-bet, guys, don't laugh or anything like that. Like people are still learning. Like you don't need to take the piss. Like because somebody's folding queens. I'm just trying to like get it. Okay, so. Why are we 4-betting if we're gonna fold? We should have 4-bets for 2 primary reasons. In poker, you should have like 2 primary reasons to bet, or 3-bet, or 4-bet. Value, bluff, right? 2 reasons. We should have 4-bets here. All right, when we're a lot deeper, we can have like depolarized 4-bet ranges where we can basically merge like the two, where we can 4-bet like hands like 10s and stuff. 100 big blinds deep in cash games, you should be 4-betting for 2 reasons. 4-bet bluff, 4-bet for value, right? Sometimes when you 4-bet for value, they're going to 5-bet shove, and you're like, shit, I'm probably beat here, but you have to call. If we have something like ace-5 suited, it is a very, very clear 4-bet bluff if we're 4-betting ace-5 suited. Ace-queen offsuit would be a 4-bet bluff, it's just not strong enough to get in. So this should be a 4-bet bluff or a 4-bet for value. Why would we ever 4-bet queens as a bluff? It doesn't make any sense. If we're going to 4-bet fold here, don't 4-bet. Just call. So just call. Okay, but more importantly, I think the 4-bet is okay. But I'll show you this on PokerStars. So we've got pocket queens. His range is going to be tight. This is what his range should look like. We have 47% against his range. Say he doesn't do it at jacks. We have 40% against his range. Let's say he doesn't do it at queens. We have 39% against his range. What's in the pot here? So there's 136.2 big blinds. Herder. And we are calling 79.1 big blinds. We're getting 1.7 to 1. So we're getting close to 2 to 1. So we're getting close to 2 to 1. If we're getting 2 to 1, what equity do we need? We only need 33% equity against his entire range. So we're getting near enough 2 to 1. So we're going to need about 35% equity against his entire range. Even if he only has aces, kings, and ace king, we still have 40% against that range. Okay? So basically, as a general rule, if you 4-bet queens, do not fold. If you 4-bet aces, kings, queens, even jacks, although there's some spots, but aces, kings, queens, or ace king, you do not fold. Is he going to have aces or kings? Fucking probably. Like, honestly, it's 10 zoom. Like, it's 10 zoom. Even then, you just shouldn't ever fold. Again, this is from a theory point of view. So I'm trying to teach from a theory point of view. He might only ever do this with aces. We don't know that. We can't base assumptions on what we think people are going to do. Because if they don't do what we assume them to do, we are going to lose a lot of money in EV. So that's what he should be doing. Well, actually, this is what he should be doing. So we should have 47% against his entire range. So that's what he should be doing. So that's the equity we have against a range in theory. Again, if he's tighter, he's going to have less. But we can't just go around assuming he's only got aces or kings, because then we're just going to lose out on money. I don't need to know the exact things, like, but we have around that sort of percentage, so it's absolutely fine. So we cannot 4-bet fold queens. So not only that, so even if we're not talking about equities in the hand, it just makes you exploitable as well. If you're going to 4-bet queens and then fold, and somebody knows this, and somebody knows that you're gonna 4-bet fold, they can just start shoving ace-5 suited, because they block aces. So instead of having 6 combinations of aces, you've only got 3, and you're going to fold queens, and they've got, I mean, what equity do they have against kings? And maybe you fold kings. So they can just exploit you. They're going to win 1 in 3 times with ace-5 suited when you got kings. They're going to get queens to fold. They're going to get jacks to fold. They're going to get ace-king to fold. And then there's only 3 combinations of aces. So more likely you're going to fold, or they're going to, you know, have a 1 in 3 shot of winning. Yeah, call and flip versus ace-king or get beat. You can still win. You can still win. The point is it's a profitable call. The point is even against only aces, kings, and ace-king, it's a profitable call. So yeah, yes, Mel, how are you? So yeah, but yeah, you definitely improved, VRYTAAR. So although I'm sort of shouting at you in these spots and saying this is terrible, you've definitely shown a lot of improvements in just 2 of these session reviews. So actually, big shout out to you for listening to what I said the first time and really actually improving on everything I said straight away. Like honestly, the improvements are massive. Like this kind of spot never came up, so obviously we didn't talk about it. Don't 4-bet fold queens. This sucks as well because it's under the gun versus big blind. So let's say if you were under the gun versus big blind and he hadn't been in the hand. Not to mention he could go wider than that as well, because like I've shoved hands like 10s in this spot. I've actually shoved ace queen in this spot the other day on party. Under the gun versus under the gun +1 and big blind, because the guy was a tard, and I shoved ace queen and took it down pre. But yeah, so he's probably not going to have a bluff or like a weak hand, but stop 4-bet folding queens. Yes, is he going to have aces or kings? Probably. Does that hurt your EV? Does that hurt your bankroll in the short term? Yeah, because you're going to lose a stack. Does that hurt your EV in the long run? No. You're not going to run queens into aces and kings often. Queens again. Fuck's sake. Queens is a trouble in hand, though. Like, it is probably the bottom of our range for 4-bet and for value, by the way. Like, jacks we probably just have to call unless we know he's very aggressive. So queens is going to be one of the worst hands you got, but got to get it in. Yeah, everyone follow on YouTube, guys. If you're watching on YouTube, because this is probably going to be uploaded to YouTube, please do click that subscribe button and the little bell icon and stuff like that. And yeah, the links for the Twitch and Discord will be down below. Right, we open the queens, blind versus blind. We open the 9-10 suited under the gun, both very standard. We see about the flop with queens. I'm very much okay with this. We get raised. We do not want to fold. That is the one thing we do not want to do. Okay, I can definitely get behind the call, and we see an absolute gin turn, by the way. So when he's raising on the flop, what's he going to have for value here? This is blind on blind, so it's a little different. So blind on blind, in his spot, I'm definitely raising hands like ace 10, king 10. I'm going to raise some flush draws, some hands like 6, 7 of spades. Definitely sets like pocket 3s and pocket 5s, but he should 3-bet 10s. So honestly, I think we can 3-bet this flop if we want. As a general rule, I will say just call, because I'm probably not going to 3-bet a lot of bluffs, as you guys probably won't. So we can just call. So I definitely like just calling here. Which we do. And then the turn is wonderful. The reason why the turn is so wonderful is if he has a hand like pocket 3s, there's now only one combination of it instead of 3. So that takes out some of the combinations of 3s. It takes out some of the combinations of 5-3. Should only really have 5-3 suited, which is now just one combo, 5-3 diamonds. And then, like, what's he doing? Click the call button, snap call. This guy's a fucking mong. All right, the turn is not that wonderful. What the fuck is he doing? What is he doing? Don't you dare cash out for 9 big blinds. Queen. What a shitbag. What a shitbag. All right, you play this hand fine. You play this hand absolutely fine. First thing you need to do right now. You've not done it yet. There we go. I hope you're gonna note this guy. Obviously, I tagged the shit out of this guy. If you don't, Sam, oh, we're gonna have problems. Right, let's go back to hand on the left. Raising fine. The flop we can see bet here, but I don't hate it. However, the turn, even though we've got an open-ended straight flush draw, we just fold because we've got 2 outs. Okay, so this guy needs a tag. Okay, so let's actually judge his play. We raise pre. He defends 6-3 suited, blind on blind, standard. We bet the flop and he raises. I'm okay with his raise, actually. I actually quite like his raise. So we have bottom pair in his spot. We have backdoors. So with the backdoors, I don't hate just calling. I think we can raise or call. I mean, yeah, I don't hate his raise. I think it's fine. A little bit on the aggressive side, but it has some value in protecting because he gets to protect his bottom pair when it's good. And he also has some good backdoors. Sometimes we just fold like hands like ace king with no heart, which is great for him because he defends his hand. He's gonna have trouble like calling down on like, you know, like a 7 then a queen or stuff like that. So it's kind of gross. So I think his raise is okay. I think you want to mainly be calling but raising sometimes. Like I say, if we know he's gonna raise stuff like this, we can probably 3-bet hands like queens. But generally I like calling. And then the turn comes and he shoves fucking 3 times pot. Why on earth is he doing this? He's just trying to, like, is he trying to get hands to fold? Does he just know you've got queens? His bet on the turn is just, it's just so dumb. It's just so dumb. It's so sick that you have queens. This, I like the fact you snap call. This is not even, there's no consideration here. You can't go, oh, maybe he's got a 3. So I'm really glad that you called here because I've seen you fold in these spots before with these kind of hands or very strong hands to smaller bets. So I love the fact that you snapped this off. Absolutely love the fact that you snapped this off. The fact that he has a 3 is just obviously really going to knock your confidence here because it's just like, oh, I just called and I've got 2 outs. Like I've got 5% chance of winning. Like, is this a terrible call? So people will post these kind of hands in the Discord. By the way, guys, join the Discord. We have a hand history section. We'll post this hand in the Discord, and it's like, you know, they're really upset because they're like, have I just made a terrible call here? And it's like, no, like just because you like this is just a fist pump call. Why the fuck is he shoving, man? It's so dumb. So yeah, don't think about this hand. But the first thing you need to do after this, I don't know if he's a nit or not because. He's not a nit because he's defending, but why is he shoving that much and then cashing out? It's so weird. Also, guys, I went through this in the Discord. Don't cash out. Poker is a game of EV in the long run, right? In the short run, cashing out is good because you're always going to win, in that example, 95% of the pot, but you're paying 1% rake to stars. In the long run, you are losing out on EV. Poker is about the long run. You should always play and be... you should always play and be rolled for the stakes that you play. So, and I'll get back to you later. It's not in the deposit code. It's when you sign up. So yeah, basically we just can't fold there. I don't know what he's gonna have, but the first thing you need to note over here is to you need to just tag him. You need to just tag him and just definitely write a note on exactly what he did there. That's just pretty ridiculous. Pretty ridiculous. So the 9-10 suited, I think we should fold the turn if we've checked the flop. I don't hate betting flop. We should just fold the turn. Like, we need specifically the 8 of hearts or the king of hearts to be good. And yeah, so we've got 2 outs. Like, because we can't hit a flush against a jack. So hopefully, I mean, why are you not noting that? Why are you not noting that? You've just got the hand up. Are you going to do it and I'm going to look like a dickhead like I did at the start? No, so you need to note that, man. How would you not note that? Why would you note other things? You don't need to tag him. Just like I say, just get the notes up and just go, okay, so defend 6-3, spade, BVB, raise, overbet shove on 10, 5, 3, 3. Or whatever you have for overbet shove. So I would just, or like, so raise 3x pot on that, and then we know. So that doesn't mean next time he does it we have to fold, because maybe he does it with like flush draws as well, but it's just handy knowing that he has that like capability. Like, he's obviously a fun player, like no self-respecting reg would do that. Even though the defend is fine, the raise on the flop is fine, the 3x pot on the turn is, I mean, it's kind of fun because like, you know, if you've got an overpay you're obviously going to call, but then at the same time he's just going to be losing out so much value in the long run. So it's just terrible. So 6s, I knew you'd peel the button here. Again, we want to stop doing this a lot. We don't want to peel too many buttons, especially with this kind of hand. I'm okay with it a bit more here because it looks like the blind is a fun player. And you might just get to realize your equity more. You're probably not getting 3-bet as much, which is fine. But I think if you're going to play this, button versus cutoff, you should just 3-bet. This would be the bottom of my range for 3-betting. I'd probably just fold and 3-bet 7s plus. Unless they're going to fold a lot, and then I'm going to 3-bet more. But yeah, ignore snake. You want to know, even if it's just for the end of the session, just note people. Once he checks, I don't hate stabbing. I don't really see the need for this size. He's still got range advantage on this board, so he can have a lot of very strong hands. But it works. But I prefer just going to smaller size. He's probably gonna fold to half pot, the same hands that he's going to fold to 3/4, right? So you may as well just give yourself a better price on a bluff. But in general, don't be peeling those hands. King 5 off, blind on blind. Yeah, bottom of the range, but I think it's fine. But yeah, that queen's hand is just ridiculous. Like, you can never just... You can't be like, oh, well, I've got a fold queens here. I'm really glad that you didn't. The queen 9 suited, by the way, is definitely an open in the cutoff. Again, these hands, as far as I'm concerned, are better than hands like deuces or 6s because they've got more playability. You can hit more top pairs, you can hit more straight draws, more flush draws, which give you more opportunity to barrel. Whereas like if you raise like pocket 2s and you don't hit a 2, you're just barreling with 2 outs, right? Like, whereas with queen 9 suited, if you hit some sort of gut shot, you've got 4 outs and open ender, you've got 8 outs. Flush draw, you've got what, 13 outs? Not 13, however many outs. But yeah, so those hands I think have better playability than low pocket pairs. So definitely in the cutoff you want to raise that. And again, stop fast folding hands like ace-4. It's not a good hand particularly, but blind on blind you're gonna be raising it. Rigged again, guys. The same combo as a king queen. Yeah, both definitely opens. 3x again, especially ante is fine. Exactly. Even if you're not going to use the notes, one, they carry over for the session. Maybe you'll never see him again, that's fine, but it also just gives you opportunity when you're playing higher stakes in smaller pools. You definitely want to be noting people. So you want to get these things. Remember yesterday I was talking about the adult learning model. I think it's called the adult learning model. So you have things that, so there's 4 levels. Do I want to go into this again? Because it's kind of confusing. But basically the things you don't know that you don't know is unconscious incompetence. Then you've got things that you know you don't know. And then the highest level is basically unconscious competence, which means things that you will just do automatically that you will basically autopilot do. So if you get into your head that you need to write notes, when you start moving up, you'll autopilot do notes. It's the same as opening ranges. I have opening ranges glued into my head. I don't need to think when I'm under the gun, okay, what's my opening range here? Is this in my opening range? I get dealt hands under the gun and I'll instantly raise or fold knowing that that is within my thing. That's unconscious competence. I know it like subconsciously, unconsciously. So you want to get yourself to a point where you're doing that with some poker stuff, but also with things like notes. Like you want to be focused enough that you don't have to think, oh wait, shit, I should take notes. It'll just be an automatic thing. You'll just be like, okay, this guy did something random. First thing you should do is know him. So this is an interesting spot with the king queen. On the left, we are very deep, but I think we can just fold it. I wouldn't hate a very, very low frequency 4-bet if we think he's bluffing a lot. But just generally, king queen offsuit, we want to fold. Snake, shut up. So board on the right is very good for our range in general. King eye board favors the pre-flop aggressor. So I'd be betting this with pretty much our entire range. We've got top pair, second kicker. I'd see no reason not to stick a bet in. The turn is lovely. We have now got trips. There's some flush draws out there and stuff as well. I can check this back at some frequency. Again, if we're talking like advanced strategy and stuff, we're gonna want to check back. Like some people use an RNG where they'll check back a certain amount of the time and bet a certain amount of the time. But generally, especially at these lower stakes, again, golden rule of poker, when you've got good hands, you mainly want to bet. Oh dear. Right, so yeah, I'm okay with the check at some frequency. I think we mainly want to be betting. I think there's, again, I won't go into c-bet strategies and betting size strategies, but I think that all kind of bet size makes sense. A third, a half, 3/4, over bet. You can go for, it depends on what kind of strategy you want to have. Generally, just put some money in the pot, right? Just let's put some money in the pot. Half pot's fine. He's going to call his worth king X and 10X. 3/4 fine. As long as we're just getting money in the pot, I don't think you're going to make much of a mistake. Like I say, you can check back sometimes, but just, you know, 90% of the time we want to bet. King 8 suited on the button, easy open. We flop a flush draw, which is nice. No, I'm not even joking. That's absolutely set me off. He'd min donk, so I would say as a general rule, guys, when somebody min bets the flop when they're not the aggressor, treat it as a check. Basically, just assume that he has just checked, only he's checked and put one big blind in, like by mistake or something. So just treat it as a check because it's not really a proper thing. So basically, you are checking behind here, okay? So if you are calling this bet, treat it like a check behind. That's what I do. Just to make it easier on yourself. Because some people will just literally min bet everything instead of checking, for example. So the question is, do we want to bet this flop or do we want to check this flop? So generally I would want to bet because we're going to want to see bet, whereas sometimes we can check back. So we are going to, I would raise here because a raise would be basically like a bet, and I'm going to want to see bet this a lot, if that makes sense. So yeah, at least you know that you probably should raise, but again, calling's fine. It's kind of like a check, if that makes sense. But I'm okay with it. Turn comes an ace. This is better for our range than him. Yes, and Blakey with the 4 months. Thanks for the resub, dude. Now that he checks, we have a pretty mandatory bet, I would say. We still have good equity in the hand. We technically have a little bit of showdown, but we can get maybe like a hand like pocket 3s to fold, pocket 6s, a 4 or a 5. Definitely like the bet. I like the bigger size in as well. He calls 8 on the river. This is kind of interesting. This is like not really the kind of hand you want to bluff with, because you want him to have some flush draws. So, I mean, we block 6-8, but you shouldn't really have a straight with 6-8 anyway. But I don't hate betting just because I don't think he's going to have many ace-x in his range anyway. But I think with the line that he's taken, he seems like a fun player, so we may just call down with a jack. The thing is, when you're betting on this river here, you're probably going to want to try and get a jack to fold. So yeah, I think I would bet bigger if I'm gonna bet, because we're trying to target a jack X hand and stuff, right? So, and it's kind of sketchy against someone that's played like a bit of a fun player. So I think if we're gonna bet here, we're gonna want to polarize and try and represent a very strong hand, like an ace king or ace jack or like ace 5, something like that, which we can all have. So I think if we're gonna bluff here, we're gonna bluff big. And then we also balance that by when we do have value, such as ace king or, you know, even ace 10, we can bet big for value again. and then put him in some tough spots. So, I mean, obviously we can't put him on ace deuce, and in a way you've saved money because he's always going to call to a bigger bet. But yeah, I don't like this hand to bluff with. We have, well, we probably don't have showdown on a 7 now, unless he has something random like 10-8 of clubs, 10-9 of clubs, sorry. So yeah, I think we should just give up on this river. We can't win every pot. Not a great hand to bluff because we don't block any of his strong range, and we want him to have hands like king 8 of clubs. So yeah, I think that's a mistake on the river. If you're going to bet, I would like to have seen a bigger bet, but I wouldn't bet all that often either. So yeah, definitely think that was a mistake on the river. But the rest of the hand was fine. I still think you can raise the flop. Like, maybe he just calls the flop anyway and you lose more, but, you know, it's just going to happen. Especially on the ace turn. Like, if you raise the flop, if he calls the flop, you can't really put him in an ace, so I can understand barreling off. So exactly, they don't want to check call, but they don't want to they don't want to check raise either, so they just bet like 1 big blind in the hope that you just call, and then they get to see a turn for 1 big blind, which it works. Like, it literally works. So there's another reason why you should raise. 4-5 suited is going to be a defender, but I bet you're not going to defend. The ace-10 suited, I definitely like the 3-bet. Sizing's okay. Sizing is okay versus this size. I don't mind going a little bigger, maybe 8 big blinds. 4-5 suited is a fist pump defend in this spot. A fist pump defend. We're getting a good price. So we're getting like 2.5 to 1. Our hand's got good playability. We can hit some flush draws, straight draws, stuff like that. Good implied odds when we do hit a hand. And we've already got 1 big blind in. So we don't want to keep folding, otherwise people can exploit. And it's a late position raise as well. This is just a very, very clear call, Sam. We've obviously talked about you not wanting to call from the big blind a lot, not V-pipping from the big blind. This is a just... We could even 3-bet this at some frequency, a very low frequency. But, like, the only option we don't have here is fold. And you folded. So I want to see you V-pipping more with good playable hands. I'm not talking about hands like Jack 6 off or, like, you know, even like 7-9 off, 7-8 off, I can get behind folding in a lot of spots. But 4-5 suited, there's a main thing I want to see. So I'll explain more at the end of it, but the main thing I want to see is that, as well as obviously labeling a bit more and noting a bit more. King Queen suited, easy open. Hands like King 5, they're going to be mucked a lot anyway, but I'm talking about very playable hands. Alright, so we've only got a couple of minutes left of this one, which is good. Hopefully this video won't be too long for when I put on YouTube. Exclamation point YouTube in the Twitch chat, guys. Make sure you go subscribe on there. Anyone watching on YouTube, please do subscribe. I think we can see that. I don't really like it, but I don't really like check folding, and we just can't check call, and I don't like check raising. Check calling is just bad. Like, we don't even have a diamond here, right? Like, check calling is just bad. I mean, we get there. I don't hate checking. It allows him to bluff. That is the only reason you should be checking, by the way, to allow him to bluff. I think once he's bet flop and check turn, he's probably going to have some showdown hand. Maybe a 4. All right, he's got like pocket 6s. And we can maybe get value from that. Yeah, pocket 5s. We can maybe get value from that. I don't really like the check call with this hand just because we don't have any backdoors and stuff. And yeah, I think we should go for value on the river. So I don't like the way you played that hand. I prefer c-betting. And then honestly just giving up on that turn because it's just very bad. So the way that you played the hand made you win the hand, but I just don't think it was very good. So we got the ace king. No, Jacko, I do this for free because I love it. I love it. 5k a pop, yeah. All right, ace king. This is a fun one. We are going to cold 4-bet. Should be the right thing to do. The kind of nice thing about this is that Mask doesn't have a full stack, so it's like feels slightly less punty. If he's got like 120 bigs and you get an ace king, it sucks. But this is definitely going to be a 4-bet here. And I think I like the sizing. I think I would go exactly 26 here. Because we're out of position. No, I'd probably go a tiny bit smaller. I'd probably go like 24. Once you start 4-betting, 4-bets can be a lot smaller. Like cold 4-bets or just regular 4-bets. Like, so when we 4-bet the queens earlier, I liked that sizing that we did. He made it 13 and we made it like 26 and a half. So I think we can basically between 2 and 2.5x in position and 2.5x to 3x out of position with 4-bet. So I think this will, I mean, it's pretty much it, because it's nearly 9 big blinds. So yeah, maybe a little bit smaller. 24 makes sense. But it's not absolutely terrible sizing, and considering how bad your sizings were in the first video, I think that you've improved a lot. So this is much better, and it's not like too far out. So I'm okay with it. Why do you give us a finger every time you scratch your chin? I don't know, mate. So yeah, I like the call 4-bet, and I don't want to see a 5-bet from him. And then against him, we just get it in. Like, if he shoves, right, look at it. Near enough 2-1, right? 58 big blinds into 114, near enough 2-1. Again, I can get PokerStars up. Don't you dare fold. There we go. I mean, just fuck off, game. Oh my god. Oh wow. Spade. Spade! Yes! Oh, don't put that in the chat, man. Don't put that in the chat. That's really bad. Come on, the guy just got in aces, man. That's fucking... Don't be that guy. I thought you were just going to type it without writing it in. Don't be that guy. Oh, what a hand. This is why you were excited, right? This is why you were fucking excited. One of the last hands as well. All right, so let's review it then, guys. Let's review it. Okay, so again, something that you want to instantly know, maybe he's a massive nit. What I normally do, which is a bad thing to do, is just instantly tag him as a nit because he 3-bet and he had aces. Like, maybe he doesn't always have aces. Also, what he should do in his spot is probably just call with aces, although he's not a full stack, so. In fact, no, it's called 4-bet. I think he can just shove. But I would note him and just put 3-bet, like, 3-bet, 5-bet. I mean, this is obviously kind of obvious, but 3-bet, 5-bet, ace versus cold 4-bet on button. And then let's say you tag him as maybe a fun player because he's not got a full stack. Or you could like tag him as a, you know, when I was saying about the tags as having a potential something, like potential fish, potential reg, a potential nit. Like, there's only 3 combos of aces that you can have. So he's well more likely to have a hand like queens or jacks, but maybe he doesn't 3-bet these hands, so he's potentially a nit. So don't do what I do and just tag everyone as a nit automatically. But that was actually really funny though, so. That is exactly how you feel though, like when you run, like, it's just so unfair. If anyone's been watching the stream a long time, there was a period about 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago, where I kept running ace king into aces. Not kings, not queens, aces. But it was against like regs, like it was just so fucking unfortunate. However, we get there in style. But yeah, I know you're saying heat of the moment and stuff like that and you're proper buzzing, but maybe if it's against a dickhead, like there's a guy on GG I play against, Mum Hunter, who always laughs when like he stacks me and stuff. So if you know, if there was a chat option available, I would tell him to get fucked. But yeah, don't do that. You don't want to be the guy that even posts in the chat. Like generally, even the good, like I see good players or regs that say in the chat, if you're that confident in your game and stuff, you're not going to be berating people and stuff. It's like a form of tilt. Remember I was talking earlier about the mental game of poker. But yeah, definitely get that. And that is all there is to it. That's all she wrote. So yeah, I might even fire up a stream later on or something. I feel like I could go for hours, but we've got loads more to do, but I'm not going to do them today. But all in all, Sam, I've seen some big improvements in your game there. That was really good. There were some really good improvements there. So the things that we wanted to see improvements on the major leagues were raising 100% from the button and raising 100% from the small blind. You've cut down on that. You've obviously worked on your pre-flop ranges. That's absolutely fine. We also want to see you stop being a nit and stop folding. Senior, obviously the queen's pre-flop fold was very tight, but other than that, good. Got ace king and against aces, so be it. Again, maybe they're all nits at 10 zoom, but as you go up, that is exactly what you want to do, pretty much with that exact sizing. Your sizings have improved, not 100% perfect, but definitely improved a lot. And I did see a label or note a few people, but we can definitely see more improvement in that. So the next session you send me VRYTAAR. So next time you play, either today or tomorrow or whatever, it's going to be a while before I review it. I've got some other ones to review, but I want to see improvements. I want to see labeling and noting players. I want to see you looking at more hands when you get to see what they've got and checking what they've got. That goes for everyone, guys. You want to label and note players whenever you can, especially if you're playing on smaller pools against a lot of regs, and especially against the regs, you want to know what they're doing. I also want to see you VPip more from the big blind and not just 3-bet or fold, right? We can call from the big blind. It's nice. It's okay. And yeah. So guys, this is going to be it for the time being. I've had a lot of fun. Big shout out to all the subs, all the new follows. If you're watching on Twitch live right now, click that follow button. It's a free way of supporting the stream. I am going to upload this to YouTube. So !YouTube, go check it out. Obviously the Discord as well. You can join in the Discord. We have a hand history and strategy section. You can also send me a message with you two-tabling Zoom, just like that was. Either save it via QuickTime Player if you've got a Mac, or download OBS or something like that. And I will review it once I get chance. So if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. And hopefully I'm going to do at least one of these a week. Probably 2 a week. I'm probably going to have a break from poker, just because I need to move into my new house. And I want to start a 100k bankroll challenge after I've done that. So !challenge, you can see the details online. So yeah, like I say, guys, big shout for all the support. Make sure you subscribed if you're watching on YouTube. Gonna try and upload once a week. Next stream probably gonna be tomorrow. I'm probably gonna do the same thing tomorrow if I'm not back tonight. So big shout out to everyone, guys. Thanks for all the love. Make sure you're following. Hopefully see you all tomorrow. Peace. Small bet. I do want to punish this a lot, but I think with this hand we just call. We want to see something like the 8 of spades or something on the river. Take a queen as well for the quads bonus. Jack's kind of interesting. I don't think he's going to have jacks or king 10 suited enough. Also, if you've got pocket threes, I'm going to cry. I'm going to straight up cry. We are all in. We are all in. We have a full house, top full house. Let's go all in. Quads. Yeah, get out of it with your shit bluff. Oh, maybe not. Sometimes poker's easy, chaps.